Hello.
Welcome to the Listenercast.
It's us again.
We're
us. Back.
We sure are. And today we're back with part 4 of The Way of Kings.
Yes.
As per usual, we'll yap at the end. I know we'll probably be talking about Dragonsteel at the end today with the announcement of the ball stuff. So yeah. If you want to hear more to us talk about that, like I said, we'll do that at the end, but we're going to get right into reading.
But before we get right into it, I'm going to give a special shout out to Zebus.
Or Zybus.
8456 for leaving a comment and basically letting us know we are not complete idiots. And the cymatics is real.
Yes.
I was very pleased that somebody confirmed that it was real.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because we could have just Googled that.
We could have just Googled it.
And we didn't,
No. Okay.
But yeah, so part 4.
Part 4.
I'm not even going to lie to the audience. I finished this earlier today. Mm-hmm. In fact, I read all of it in the last 24 hours because I had a chaotic week. Ryan, this for me is the part where I feel like in a first read through, you read this part and you're like, oh God, what's going to happen next? I've gotten myself into something crazy here.
Yeah.
And it just makes you want to read all the rest of the series.
Yeah. This was the part for me where I probably was the most ravenous reading through it. Yeah. Especially on this reread, because I'm just like, all right. I even knew, like, going into it, part 4, that's where everything breaks down and happening.
Yeah.
And then it does.
And then it happens and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna get into it. As always, thanks for being here. All right.
Okay. Interlude 1. We meet a man named Baxel who is assisting his mistress to destroy works of art. He's discussing with his counterpart his interest in the old magic, and we learn about what that's all about.
So yeah, this interlude, it's very short. I don't really have a lot to say about this one in particular because I don't think any of it really relates to our main story at this moment in time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do agree. It does talk about the old magic,
right,
which has been talked about a little bit. We find out that you go and you meet the Night Watcher.
Yes, the Night Watcher is brought up so many times during this next part.
Yeah.
Even though like it's never really explained to us what the Night Watcher is.
Yeah. But basically, like, the Night Watcher, she gives you a boon. She gives you a curse to go along that. And that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. That's all
Yeah. Pretty short, straightforward, and to the point. And then Interlude 8.
We see Garanid, an ardent who is on an island who's been experimenting with food. He seems to be assisting his partner in measuring flame spren when they suddenly make a grand discovery.
Yeah, that you can measure spren, and then by writing the measurements down, they will not change shape any further. So, and they point out as well that you have to, or they experiment and see that you can't just like write down a number. You have to be measuring the exact spren. So, not quite sure where this is gonna come into our story here, but a fun, nice little interlude.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting imagining like, okay, so once you like recognize and measure it and write it down, it will never change again until like you erase it and everything.
Yeah.
Allegedly, it won't change again. Maybe.
Allegedly. I don't know. Yeah. They didn't test it out extensively. But
I don't know. More, I guess, a mix of science and sort of magic.
Yeah. Just some more fun world building and more learning about Spren and the intricacies of Spren.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're going to really like this summary.
For Interlude 9.
We once again find Szeth leaving behind bodies in his wake. That's it.
End statement. Yeah, so this is where he's killing... Is it the King of Jochebed?
It's the King of Jochebed.
Yeah. And I like that we get some humanization of Szeth here.
Yeah.
Where he... I mean, literally, like, on the second page, it's like he finds himself crying because he just... has to kill and he like doesn't want to kill these innocent people. And he even says to the king at one point, he's like, I can't believe you knew that I was coming here and you threw a feast because now I can place their innocent lives onto you.
Yeah.
Because you knew I was coming and now all of them are dead because of you.
Yeah.
And that's like how he takes some of the guilt away from himself.
Yeah, but I mean...
it's still bad what he does. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how he has to, like, justify it to himself to make himself feel less guilty of, like...
It is, yeah. I do agree.
Because, like, his orders are just to, like, literally kill anyone standing in the way of these people that he's been ordered to kill.
But it's all right.
One sleeve was cuffed and the other was not. It just felt awkward.
Okay. Yeah, no. Very, very interesting Szeth part. I have to agree because, like what you said, we're seeing, I guess, his actions getting to him more.
Yeah. Oh, I did actually mark right here at the end of this interlude where he lashes himself onto a broken tabletop and he infuses it. And it says, a man in shard plate might be protected from lashings, but the things he stood upon were not. And so he lashes the plank upward with multiple lashings and it lurched into the air, tossing aside the shard bearer like a toy soldier.
It's pretty tough.
I just thought it was like a cool, I don't know, feature. That's not the right word, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like part of his magic or whatever you want to call it.
Abilities.
Yeah, abilities. That's a better word for it, yes. All right. Did you have anything else to say about that part?
I didn't really, no.
Okay.
Like a lot of the interludes, they're kind of straightforward and everything.
Yeah, and this one in particular as well, it's really just Szeth murdering.
Yeah.
It's really what it is. Committing heinous crimes. All right, so now we're going to get into part 4, Storm's Illumination. It's Dalinar, Kaladin, Adolin, and Navani.
Navani. Ooh. Mamma mia. Chapter 52.
A Highway to the Sun.
Oh, that's a cool... that's a cool... it's just a cool chapter name.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Could be like a good like song name for like a prog rock band.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I see it.
Yeah. kind of like Stairway to Heaven.
I wouldn't call... I would not call them a prog rock band.
I'm sure... Maybe they are.
I don't know. I think it's Zeppelin.
Yeah, it's Zeppelin.
That's just rock and roll, babes.
Okay.
That's not prog rock. That's rock and roll.
Okay. That's
all right. We need to get on track
52.
here.
Dalinar has confirmed that he is going to abdicate. He has another vision in which he sees the day of recreance. Afterwards, him and his sons formulate a plan to see if what he is seeing is all fake or if they are visions from the past. Navani joins them after and has a private conversation with Dalinar, saying that he's stronger and his people need him more than he knows.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
I agree. That did happen.
It did happen. I was there. Oh, big yawn from little kitty cat over here.
No.
We have our third co-host here today, if you're watching. Oh, yeah, the day of recreants.
Yeah.
So they are in the little keep area thing. Mm-hmm. But, like, Dalinar's looking through the wall. There's, like, a slit that's for, like, archers, but Dalinar's looking through it. And he sees that the approaching soldiers had formed a distinct line. Men and women in gleaming shard plate charged forward. The scout pulled to a halt. Looking at the charging shard bearers, they ran shoulder to shoulder, not a single one out of place, like a crystalline wave. As they drew closer, Dalinar could see that their plate was unpainted, but it glowed either blue or amber at the joints and across glyphs at the front, as with other radiants he'd seen in his visions. So just to see all the shard bearers just lined up, marching in like a huge formation towards you, I imagine it's going to be pretty
intimidating.
Yeah, intimidating. And well, like he even says like, well, their shard blades aren't out. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
And then
they pull them all out.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and then this is when Dalinar realizes what's happening.
Yeah.
It says a suspicion began to rise within Dalinar. This is after they summoned their shard blades. The horror that he might know what this vision was about to show him. The scout, at last unnerved, turned his horse and galloped back to the keep, screaming for the door to be opened to him. As if a little wood and stone would be protection against hundreds of shard bearers, a single man with plate and blade was almost an army unto himself, and that wasn't accounting for the strange powers these people had. And it's just... I don't know, I guess that kind of shows, like... Because while we know how intimidating shard bearers are just in general, the fact that Dalinar's like, yeah, but these ones also have, like, weird powers.
Yeah.
So, like, this is even, like, worse than just, like, a bunch of shard bearers. I don't know.
Yeah.
It shows their power.
Oh, yeah. And this is only 2 out of the 10... orders.
Yeah, so it's not even all of them.
No, and he mentions like how looking at all of them, he realizes, okay, in our time, we have like this certain amount of shard blades and plate.
Yeah.
But what he's seeing is like
way more than what they know about.
More.
Yeah.
So where's the rest? Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, but the 2 orders are the Stone Wards, and it says a large number of Windrunners, so it's not... I don't think it's all of the Windrunners.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. But who knows?
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was done talking about that, but okay. what else did you have to say? I had something afterwards.
I have something afterwards as well.
You go right ahead.
Okay. So I marked the part right here where after he comes back from the vision and they're all kind of looking at each other and Dalinar says, I don't accept that what I see isn't real. And Adolin's like, what are you talking? Like, I thought I convinced you that, like, you're just kind of going crazy. And Dalinar says, I accept that I'm no longer reliable and that there's a chance I might be going mad. I accept that something is happening to me. When I first began seeing these visions, I believed them to be from the Almighty. You've convinced me that I may have been too hasty in my judgment. I don't know enough to trust them, but I could be mad, or they could be supernatural without the Almighty. Almighty. I don't know why I just said that with like 3 syllables. Aelin says, how could that happen? And Renarin says, the syllables. Old magic. I mean, yeah, but I like really announced it.
I know.
Almighty.
The Almighty.
Yeah, I don't know why I pronounced it like that.
You said it like Alan.
Who?
From Smiling Friends.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
No.
Apologies. But yeah, this is where they talk about the old magic. And this is where Renarin and Adolin find out. And Avani, because I think she's present too, isn't she?
Not at this point.
Not at this point.
But I think they tell her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is where Adolin and Renarin find out that he has gone and seeked out the old magic. Mm-hmm. He doesn't specify why.
Yeah, he refuses to tell them.
Yeah.
And then like he basically says like, I do not believe this is the Night Watcher.
Yeah, he was like,
because he knows what his curse is.
Yeah.
And I think we know what his curse is.
We do, because like in this whole,
it's his boon.
There's a whole part in this chapter where we don't know what his boon is. Like why he went to see her, but his curse is the fact that he can't remember his wife. I think we found that out maybe in the last part, but it solidifies it because there's a point in this part where he's having a conversation with Navani.
Yeah.
And she brings up the wife and all he hears is like, shh. Yeah. So we know what the curse is. And he even, I think, says something like, I can't remember my wife because of the old magic. Mm-hmm. Like that was my curse.
Yeah.
So... do you have anything else for this chapter?
That's it for this chapter, I believe. Yes. Yes.
Yes. All right, chapter 53, Dunny.
Starting off on a bridge run, being pelted by arrows, Dunny falls. Kaladin then decides he will try and save every bridgeman, even those outside of Bridge 4.
Yep. Let's see. I definitely have something marked back here. It was like this chapter, it's so seeing Dunny die just like makes you feel bad. Mm-hmm. And gets you so early on in this part.
Mm-hmm. I have something marked here where it's Kaladin talking to like his men, and they're talking about like honor. Mm-hmm. And he says, the Light Eyes talk about honor. They spout empty claims about their nobility. Well, I've only known one man in my life who was a true man of honor. He was a surgeon who would help anyone, even those who hated him, especially those who hated him. Well, we're going to show Gaz and Sadeas and Hashal and any other sodden fools who cares to watch what he taught me. Now go to work and stop complaining.
That's what I had marked as well.
Dude, it's because like... He wants to help everybody. He is choosing to follow in his father's footsteps in a way by following his teachings in being honorable. Yeah. And he wants to save everybody that he possibly can because that's what his dad would do. And his dad was the only one, in his opinion, that is held to, I guess, his standard of honor.
Right. Because he even says, like, on the page right before it, and it goes into the paragraph you just read. And, like, Dre, he says, like, you know, if we care for the one of the other bridge crews, like, we'll have to feed them, tend to them. Kaladin says, storm you, and he's looking and sees how many bodies of bridgemen are scattered and just, like, ignored. He says, look at that. Who cares for them? Not Sadeas, not their fellow bridgemen. I doubt even the heralds themselves spare a thought for these. I won't stand there and watch while men die behind me. We have to be better than that. We can't look away like the Light Eyes pretending we don't see. This man is one of us, just like Dunny was. Mm-hmm. And that's when he says the Light Eyes talk about honor. And But yeah, I had like that whole thing marked because it's just like, yeah, everything you just said. Like, I agree. Retweet.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Next thing, it's like on the next page, it's when Teft is talking to him, and he basically asks him like, oh, are you still carrying a full pouch of spears and everything? So again, all right, something's happening with the spears. Something's going crazy with those.
And we actually get answers.
We get answers
this time.
Yes. Do you have anything else to say about this chapter?
I do not.
I do not either.
Let's move on to chapter 54. Gibbletish?
Gibletish? Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I listened to the audiobook of this one. I think I read this one through.
It's Gibletish because like gibberish.
Makes sense.
Let's see. Dalinar and Co. attend another feast with the king and the high princes. Wit approaches Dalinar and informs him that Sadeas plans to reveal information about his investigation. Dalinar speeds this along and makes Sadeas tell the crowd what he's found. Sadeas confirms Dalinar's suspicions that someone cut the strap and made it look like Dalinar did it. Dalinar thanks Sadeas, but Sadeas informs him that he wishes he had more concrete evidence in this investigation. Dalinar and Sadeas then agree to do a group assault against the Parshendi.
It's all coming together.
Sadeas is not that bad of a guy.
I know. That's what, like, I think we had talked about this in one of the earlier parts where I said to you, like, I forgot that we, like, hate Sadeas immediately. I think it was literally in part 1 where I said that.
Yeah, no, like, it is in... No, it's the very beginning of part 2, because that's when we first meet him, because it's in Adolin's perspective.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but regardless, like I said it to you early on, I was just like, I just don't remember us hating Sadeas immediately off the bat.
Jump. Like, yeah.
And because I think it's because this happens later on where he does, like, redeem himself to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think in my head, I was like, oh, we're in the redemption arc. And then, like, obviously we know what happens at the end of this part. But in my brain... That's why I was so I was like, it was so jarring to me in part 2 where I was like, oh, we hate Sadeas right now. Mm-hmm. Because, like, right here, he's like, oh, our interests are the same. We just both want to protect the king.
Yeah.
Anyways. Let's see.
I feel like I know what you have marked in this chapter.
Probably so. It's, like, right on the second page here. You know, what comes up when he's talking to Dalinar.
What does he say, Whitney?
Well, Dalinar says to Wit, he said, I haven't the mind for this tonight. I'm sorry if I'm missing your intent, but I have no idea what you mean. Wit says, I know.
Then look directly at him. Ad nauseam?
What?
Have you ever heard the term, Dalinar?
What?
Oh, Whitney.
Yep.
So, we won't get that into it.
I don't think we can.
I don't think we can, because this has something to do with the greater Cosmere.
Right.
And was this the first time? I'm trying to think, like, even in, like, Mistborn, did we hear?
I'm sure know.
We did, maybe.
I don't know. Like, this was the first thing that I read out of the Cosmere.
Yeah.
So this was the first time for me that name has even come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he goes, get him. Get him, Nova.
There's violence on screen.
Oh, my gosh.
My cat just batted my dog in the face when he tried to come over here.
I wonder if you could do that to a man, pull him apart, emotion by emotion, bit by bit, bloody chunk by bloody chunk, then combine him back together into something else, like a Dissian Amian.
Stop, I didn't even pick that up.
If you do put a man together like that, Dalinar, be sure to name him Gibberish, after me, or perhaps Gibbletish. Uh-huh.
Okay, well, we can't talk about that.
Well, we can. Maybe.
No. We'd have to... We can't talk about it. Anyways, it's interesting that... I am constantly impressed by how interconnected all the Cosmere novels are.
Oh, yeah.
To, like, a degree that, like, he was writing this and was considering things in other series.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like, and it's all thanks to mostly, like, Hoid.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we find out this is Hoid.
This is Hoid. Yeah.
He is the man that those others were looking for earlier. Right. In that one interlude.
Correct.
And he shows up in every single Cosmere novel.
Yeah.
He's the glue that binds it all together.
But it's just the fact that Brandon has so much, like, foresight.
Yeah.
Into his timelines. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I'm just always impressed. Anyways, I think we should move on from this, because if this is someone's first read through, they're just going to be so confused. And it's okay. It's going to come back up way later, and we'll talk about it then. Mm. But it is, you know, something that comes up later, and like Ryan said, is Greater Cosmere, so we're not going to speak on it at this time. Just in case it is your first time reading, we want to keep it spoiler free for you.
Yeah. We'll do like a spoiler talk eventually, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe whenever we do part 5 and then we wrap up the book, we can talk about some stuff at the end. Mm-hmm. So if you want to hear us wrap up the book but want no spoilers, you can stop off right there, and then at the end we can maybe talk about, I don't know, we'll figure it out when we get there. So anyways, this chapter continues on. Dalinar storms up to Sadeas and is like, what, have you figured out who cut the king's girth yet? Or like, what's up with that? And Sadeas is like, well, I was planning on talking about it later, but you're forcing my hand here.
Yep.
And then he proves that Dalinar is innocent. And something after, Sadeas says to everyone that, like, yeah, Dalinar is innocent, blah, blah, blah. Dalinar goes up to him afterwards and he says, you wanted to prove me innocent? And Sadeas scowls at him and says, do you know what your problem is, Dalinar? Why everyone has begun to find you so tiresome? And Dalinar doesn't reply. And he says, the presumption. You've grown despicably self-righteous. Yes, I asked Elhokar for this position so I could prove you innocent. Is it so storming difficult for you to believe someone else in this army might do something honest?
Talk to him.
Talk to him, Sadeas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely see his point where I'm sure, Dalinar can probably be kind of annoying. Yeah,
I also, I don't know if I 110% believe Sadeas went into it with the goal of, proving Dalinar innocent. I'm sure that, he probably went in there with, not great intentions, but ended up being well, if I say that Dalinar is guilty, this might come back on me in a way that's not
right
what it needs to. I don't know.
And I mean, everybody around him was kind of planning for him to turn it on Dalinar and everything. And Dalinar was ready for it, getting his guards, on the island and everything.
Yeah.
And, Adolin was just we're going to have to fight our way out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Sadeas was like, yeah, no, he didn't do it. Do you have anything else to say about this chapter?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
Fantastic. Well, then let's move on to chapter, bless you.
Thank you.
55, An Emerald Brome.
Oh, boy. Oh, there we go. Kaladin and the boys watch Dalinar assist Sadeas on a bridge run. Afterwards, Bridge 4 is on their chasm duty and find a small fortune. Sigzil then informs the group about a far-off city that Kaladin saw in his vision. After mention of a bow and arrow, Kaladin gets an idea. Taking a bow from a dead Parshendi, Kaladin convinces Rock to shoot a small pouch of spheres onto the bottom of a bridge to be collected by Lopen on a bridge run later.
So true.
So true.
Yeah, so I marked kind of right off the bat here whenever Dalinar's army is coming up and Moash goes a little late, aren't they? Kaladin says it happens. And, it says occasionally another high prince would arrive after Sadeas got to the plateau. More often, Sadeas arrived first and the other Lethi army had to turn around. Usually they didn't get this close before doing so. And then they see that they have the Chul bridges and they're what's going on? And then turns out that they're there to join the fight, the skirmish.
Yeah. And right after that conversation, Moash says, Dalinar Kholin. They say he's a true Light Eyes, like the men from the old days, a man of honor and of oaths. Kaladin snorted, I've seen plenty of Light Eyes with that same reputation, and I've been disappointed by them every time, and I'll tell you about Bright Lord Amaram sometime.
Yes.
And then he said, Scar says, let's see, Amaram the Shard Bearer, you've heard of that? Sure. He's supposed to be on his way here. Everybody's talking about it in the taverns. And then he asked, were you with him when he won his shards?
Kaladin says no.
Nobody was. So Amaram's on his way here.
He's on the way to the Shattered Plains.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
This is nuts.
This nuts. I don't have anything marked again until a little bit later. Let me make sure I'm still in the same chapter.
I have it kind of just marked down where they're trying to figure out a way in which to get these spheres out of here without them knowing. They talk about swallowing, and then Kaladin brings up that it was like, you can't, because there are literally guards in the latrines, and they're not there to make sure.
Yeah. Like, he literally even says, like, some poor parchment is probably, like, rifling through everyone's excrement. Mm-hmm. I did mark something here when they're down in the chasms and they come upon some Parshendi corpses. Yeah. Kaladin rolled the body onto its side, and the action elicited a sudden hiss from the back of the group of bridgemen. Kaladin turned to see Shen pushing forward in an uncharacteristic display of passion. And, Teft ends up putting Shen in a chokehold. But this, like, is where they see, like, touching the dead of the Parshendi is, like, it's sacred. It's like their dead are like sacred to them, like where they don't touch them after they've died, because it's just like, I don't know, it's not part of their culture, I guess, to honor their dead in a different way.
It's like disrespectful to move them and everything. So
to see Shen react this way obviously gets the gears turning for Bridgman and for Kaladin.
He's like, I gotta find out a way to use that.
Yeah, but this is where we see it for the first time, where so it's like, oh, this is a reaction that we're getting.
And I think, doesn't Kaladin make it like a point? He says, like, okay, like, scavenge from them, but don't be disrespectful. Yeah. Because it bothers Shen.
Yeah.
Because Shen is Bridge 4.
He is, but then... Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like he's respectful about it until he realizes it's a way that, like, it could save their lives.
Yeah.
So, oopsies. I don't have anything else for this chapter. Do you, Ryan?
I don't either until... Oh, I did have it marked on here that Kaladin says, like, we're Bridge 4.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, they're Bridge 4. Like, I don't know.
Bridge 4.
And also where he gets Rock to shoot the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm not going to ask you to go, like, fight against another human being, but thank you for doing this and everything. Because Rock is, like, very apprehensive to do it.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to see that. He doesn't want them to see that he has the ability to do this, because then he's, like, convinced they're going to make him fight. And he's like, I'm not going to fight, period.
Right. Okay, so ready to go to 56?
That's Storming Book.
Dalinar is in the thick of battle and is pondering the culture of these Parshendi that he fights. He realizes that they know so little about them, and it irritates him, all while the thrill is washed over him. Soon, a second army of Parshendi join the battle, and Sadeas is completely surrounded. Dalinar saves him, and then they win the day.
Yeah, I did mark kind of right off the bat here that while they are in the middle of the battle, Dalinar is, like, obviously cutting down Parshendi left and right. He notices one, like, not wearing a beard. And then I guess, like, after some of them are kind of slain, or not slain, but, like, as he's fighting them, he's looking at their face, and it says that Dalinar inspected the clean-shaven ones for sign of any stubble. There was none, and more than a few had a faintly feminine shape to their face. Could the ones without beards all be women? They didn't appear to have much in the way of breasts, and their builds were more like those of men, but the strange Parshendi armor could be masking things. The beardless ones did seem smaller by a few fingers, and the shapes of faces, studying them, it seemed possible. Could the pairs be husbands and wives fighting together? That struck him as strangely fascinating. Was it possible that, despite 6 years of war, nobody had taken the time to investigate the genders of those they fought? I don't know. I just think it's kind of a interesting thing here, because it says, like, that they don't really know that much about the Parshendi.
And they've been fighting them for 6 years?
6 years. It just says right there. Yeah. Because it even says right under that, it says, yes, the congested plateaus were so far out, nobody ever brought back Parshendi bodies. No. They just sent men to pulling the gemstones out of their beards or gathering their weapons. Little effort has been given to studying the Parshendi since Gavilar's death.
Just goes to show it, with more information, it'd probably be useful.
Yeah.
And everything, but there's such a lack of information.
It is, because I mean, if it is like a husband and wife, like couple fighting, like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's just, and I mean, they always attack in pairs as well. Like that's part of their battle thing. Like we see it later in one of the chapters with like Kaladin, where like he's fighting them off, and like they're attacking him in pairs, and so presumably it's like a man and a woman, or like male and a female that are just based off this.
Yeah,
but it's interesting.
I got it marked down here where like he's like experiencing the thrill. It's right, he starts feeling the displeasure at the thrill,
right?
And then he's like remembering the times where it had been its strongest. And right here it's saying, once the thirst for battle had nearly led him to attack Gavilar himself. Dalinar could remember the jealousy on that day some 10 years ago, when the itch to attack Gavilar, the only worthy opponent he could see, the man who had won Navani's hand, had nearly consumed him. So that's very interesting that this feeling that consumes like all Alethi had once almost made him attack his own brother.
Because he wanted Navani so bad.
He's so bad.
I marked something a little bit later in this chapter.
Okay.
Because there is a little thing here where Sadeas almost dies.
Yeah.
Because he gets like cornered, right? Hold on. I'm sorry. I read this earlier, but
like he gets completely surrounded.
Yeah, he gets surrounded. Dalinar goes in without his honor guard just to save him. But I marked the little interaction they have right here, kind of on the last page of this chapter.
Yep.
Where Sadeas grabs his arm and he says, "I should be dead." Dalinar says, "Perhaps. I didn't see much, but I thought I saw you alone. Where was your honor guard?" Dalinar says, I had to leave it behind. It was the only way to get to you in time. That was a terrible risk, Dalinar. Why? You do not abandon your allies on the battlefield, not unless there's no recourse. It's one of the codes. Sadeas just shakes his head. That honor of yours is going to get you killed, Dalinar.
Yep.
And then Dalinar says, if I should die, then I would do so having lived my life right. It is not destination that matters, but how one arrives there.
So it's journey before destination.
Yep.
Yep. And that's, he says that's from the Way of Kings.
Yep. And Sadeas goes, that storming book.
That storming book saved your life today, Sadeas.
Literally, like, because Dalinar is honorable, he literally saved Sadeas' life.
He did. Whitney, are you ready to go on to the next chapter?
I love the next chapter.
I'm very excited for this next chapter.
Yeah, you texted me about this one yesterday or the day before. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was like 2 days ago.
Yeah. Chapter 57, Wandersail.
We lose maps. Kaladin once again begins to spiral and wonders what he can do. Later on at camp, Kaladin performs a lashing. He's confused and runs and finds Syl asking for answers. Syl tells him that he's a windrunner and what he is doing is special. He thinks he's cursed and wants to know how to stop this, hurting her in the process. Later that night, he meets Wit by a campfire, and he's told a story by the strange man. After hearing this and given a flute, him and Syl reconcile. Kaladin then realizes what he needs to do and returns to Teft, telling him they're going to figure out what the Radiants could do.
Yep. I do want to bring up the start of this chapter is Maps having a
like death
rattle.
Yeah.
Like where we don't really know what they are yet, and that like death rattle's like an actual like thing, but he just starts yelling something. And so this is where we have never really talked about this the little tidbits at the start of each chapter.
Yeah.
But we find out within this part that it's something that people are researching at this point because of how strange it is that whenever people are dying, they are letting out these like death rattles.
Yeah. And that's what a good chunk of these like little quotes above each chapter have been.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. And some of them are referencing further things that we find out later in the series. And that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Oh. Is he going to get hit again? No, he's hanging back now. He learned his lesson.
I think he did. Hi, buddy.
Mm-hmm. So I got marked down here that, let's see, Gaz is missing.
Yeah, literally this entire part, we don't see Gaz one time.
Nope.
What
do you have marked in here, Whit?
So I actually don't have anything marked until we have our interaction with Whit here at the end of the chapter.
Whit, speak about Whit.
I'll speak on it. So Kaladin basically hears that this guy just talking some nonsense, and he's like, all right, I don't have time for this. He turns around to leave, and Whit says, well, off with you then. Glad you're going. I wouldn't want you too close. I'm rather attached to my Stormlight. Kaladin spins around, and he goes, what? And the guy's like, my spears. Everyone knows the bridgemen are thieves, or at least beggars. And Kaladin's like, of course, he'd been talking about spears. He didn't know about Kaladin's affliction, did he? The man's eyes twinkled as if it were some grand joke.
Man, so I think it's safe to say that Whit knows.
Oh yeah, 100%, 110%.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he tells Kaladin this story and everything, and he kind of like basically tells Kaladin. Kaladin like comes up with a meaning for the story, and he's like, "That's what it's about, right?" And he's like, "That's one interpretation, a fine one actually."
People see in stories what they're looking for.
Exactly. Yeah. Which I love that. I think that's because it's the truth. It's the truth. Somebody's going to read something and get something completely different than somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And also at the end, when he gives him the flute, and Kaladin's just like, I don't know how to play this. And he's like, then learn. And he says, and take good care of that blasted apprentice of mine. He really should have let me know that he was still alive. Perhaps he feared I'd come to rescue him again. Apprentice, tell him I graduate him. He's a full world singer now. Don't let him get killed. I spent far too long trying to force some sense into that brain of his. And it's Sigzil. So we learned that Sigzil was Hoyd's apprentice, or Whit's apprentice. And that's pretty interesting. Yeah. I think that's really cool.
It's a weird connection, because you're like, how was this guy that's now a bridgeman, how was his mentor, how was he a Light Eyes that was somehow like directly involved with the king?
And Sigzil like talks about how he becomes a bridgeman, but he never goes into like detail about what he actually like did.
Yeah.
So, Man, I really want to talk about some spoilers, but I really can't.
Yeah.
I'll go back a little bit when Kaladin is talking to Syl. And she basically says, do rot spren cause sickness, or are they attracted to it?
Right.
Everyone knows they cause it. And do wind spren cause the wind? Rain spren cause the rain? Flame spren cause fires? He hesitated. No, they didn't. Did they? This is pointless. I need to find out how to get rid of this light, not study it. And why must you get rid of it? Windrunners, why would you want to be rid of something like this? Where she basically like confirms, like, you were turning into a windrunner.
Yeah.
That's, oh man. It's just like, of course you are turning into a radiant.
Right. It just makes sense.
And he's like blaming that it's like, this is the reason that everybody dies around me and everything. And it's just like, Kaladin, you idiot. Stupid idiot.
Do you not realize that you're magical?
You're literally like magic.
You're literally magic.
All
right. I don't have anything else for this chapter.
I don't either.
All right. So let's move on to chapter 58.
Ooh, yeah. We're flying through this.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. That'll change here soon.
Yeah. I have a lot to say about the last couple chapters.
Yeah. Adolin is hanging out with some friends before a duel and then goes to prepare for said duel. Dalinar, Sadeas, and Elhokar are watching other duels, and Dalinar is telling Sadeas about a story from the Way of Kings. They then discuss how they need to bring unity to Elhokar. They all watch Adolin win his duel. Afterwards, Sadeas asks Dalinar for a copy of the book.
Yeah.
He does. He's trying to understand his old chum, his old pal.
His old pal Dalinar.
His comrade.
So yeah, I marked here when he is reciting the Way of Kings. Mm-hmm. And he says, this is him quoting Noadon, and so does the destination matter, or is it the path we take? I declare that no accomplishment has substance nearly as great as the road we use to achieve it. We are not creatures of destinations. It is the journey that shapes us. Our calloused feet, our backs strong from carrying the weight of our travels, our eyes open with the fresh delight of experiences lived. And just like, I think the theme of like journey before destination is so strong in this part of the chapter.
Yeah.
And obviously like we see why later on, but it's just like, he's really beaten into it like now. He's like beating you into it where it's like the journey before destination. It's like, it's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. Because like the Way of Kings was like it was like the manual for the Knights Radiance, right? It was like what they based a lot of their like stuff on and everything. And I just really like it that it's just like, not only is like Dalinar beating this into our heads, but we also see, I guess, a fledgling Radiant.
A fledgling Radiant
doesn't know anything about this book, or like what's happening with him and whatnot. It's
still being repeated to him regardless.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's also like, because Dalinar is putting so much emphasis on this book, like we see it makes other people pick it up. Like Sadeas is like, all right, like I'll have someone read it to me. Like, fine, let's see what this book's all about that you keep yapping about.
Yeah, I didn't have much else. I did put down how Adolin says like, nobody knows me as good as Renarin, which I thought was just kind of like a nice moment, because he's just like, wow, they really care about each other. These are good brothers.
I have something.
You have something?
I do.
Go on.
And it's when they're talking with Elhokar, like obviously they're still sitting there chatting, and they're talking about the latest attempt on Elhokar's life with the saddle girth. And Sadeas says, they took responsibility for sending him being Szeth, because Elhokar's saying they're going to kill me like they killed my father. Elhokar replies yes, and yet they are savages and easily manipulated. It would be a perfect distraction, pinning the blame on a group of Parshmen. We go to war for years and years, never noticing the real villains working quietly in my own camp. They watch me, always, waiting. I see their faces in mirrors. Symbols, twisted, inhuman.
We can't talk about that. Well, maybe we can.
Kind of.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
But Shallan is seeing the same thing in Kholin.
Yeah. Not Kholinar.
Or not.
Kharbranth.
Sorry.
This is kind of an indication that he is also seeing
the symbol heads. Yeah.
Which is cuckoo bananas.
Yeah. And like they kind of just like brush over that. They're like, all right, man. Like they're just like, oh, he's so paranoid. He thinks somebody's going to kill him like they killed Gavilar. And he's like, no, I'm seeing crazy things.
I'm seeing these creatures.
Yeah.
Look back at me. They're talking to me. Oh, my God.
Yeah. So pretty crazy. That was the first time I picked up on that one.
I think it was for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the last thing I had for that chapter.
Yes. Oh, they also had a moment where Elhokar is just like, oh, well, Dalinar, why didn't you explain that earlier? He's
talking about like why he thinks they need to go back to Elhokar.
Yeah, because
instead of having their kingdom split between the Shattered Plains and the actual physical kingdom.
Yeah.
And then like he just explains it much better than he had been trying to in the past. And Elhokar's like, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Why did you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's also a good little thing.
All right.
Chapter 59, in honor.
After a week, Kaladin still can't recreate what he does with Stormlight intentionally. Hashal comes to Bridge 4 and informs them that they will be on bridge duty every day and chasm duty every night.
Yep.
Later in the chasm, Kaladin comes up with a plan and creates armor covered in Parshendi bones and carapace. He manages to lash rocks to the wall and use them as handholds to get up under the bridge, and ties the armor securely under it with rope, and then drops down spectacularly, and he's planning on using the armor on the next bridge run.
Yeah, I actually don't have anything marked for this chapter. I think it's cool we do get to see him using like his Windrunner powers a little bit.
Yeah.
To where he's like sticking or like lashing the rocks to the wall, and he's like using that as a way to like rock climb up to the bridge. So that kind of gives us more of an idea of what Kaladin can actually do besides like the accidental sticking the bag to the water barrel. Yeah, that's all. I also kind of appreciate, I don't know, I don't appreciate it entirely, but enough that Kaladin went off on his own to create the armor out of the carapace.
Yeah.
Because he knew if Shen saw it, he was going to like freak out. And then he obviously does. But it's nice that he at least had the foresight to be like, all right, let me not upset him now, you know. Because I don't think Kaladin feels good about doing it either. But he just is much more, he cares so much more about his men not dying than the feelings of this one Parshman who's like, I guess not even technically like, is obviously perceived to be below them. So.
Yes. I had it marked down here where Teft basically says, oh, you can infuse, you can drink in the Stormlight and command it, but being a Radiant was more than that. It was their way of life, the things they did, the immortal words, the what, and he kind of like says like the first ideal, and that every order had the same first ideal.
Yeah.
It was always the same, life before death, strength before weakness, dream before destination. But then they all had different ones after that.
Right.
And everything. And he kind of explains what it is. And I think it's in this chapter that Kaladin actually says those words out loud for the first time.
The ones that are accepted? Because I know they are not fully accepted until they are in that final battle.
That was the second ideal.
Yeah. Oh, so does he say the first ideal out loud?
Yeah, right here. He said it out loud. He took the pouch of spheres in his hand and tried to think the same way he had earlier when he'd drawn in the Stormlight. This is our last chance. Life before death, he whispered. Strength before weakness. Journey before destination. The first ideal of the night's radiance. He breathed in deeply, and a thick jolt of power shot up his arm. Yes, it was like a storm. Yeah.
Okay.
This is where he says like the first ideal out loud, and like he like fully uses his power.
Yeah.
So cool.
Cool. Yeah.
And that's when he's like does the whole rock climbing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super neat.
Yeah. So, but yes, he couldn't do it right until he said the words.
Yeah.
And it's very subtle. I think kind of subtle.
I think it's much more subtle than like how it is from this point forward.
Yeah.
Because every time after it, it's much more dramatic.
Yeah. And it's because we also like, later on we know the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that you have to say the words.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Let's see here.
Chapter 60. That which we cannot have.
That which we cannot have. Oh, wait. Wasn't in this chapter that Lopin also called Kaladin?
He calls him Sir.
He calls him Sir.
And Kaladin goes, that feels right. That is something that happens in this part. I don't know if it's in that chapter, but...
No, yeah. It's, Lopin says, let's see, hold on. I had it marked down.
I'm pretty sure he calls him Sir. And then Kaladin just goes...
this is not in here. They just see, like, story. But that happens in this part where he, like, doesn't call Kaladin Gancho. He calls him Kaladin.
Yeah. Well, that's when he knew something was wrong.
That happens at a different part.
Yes.
That happens at a different part.
Because at one point earlier, he calls him Sir, and then Kaladin goes, oh, that felt right, weirdly.
Yes, okay. Then, yes, I was confusing the two.
Yeah.
Okay.
All good.
Gotcha.
We'll get there when we get there.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
I literally was just like, oh, wait, no, this is where they see, like, markings of a chasm fiend and everything.
All good.
Yeah, okay. So sorry.
All good.
I'm dumb.
No, it's okay.
Adolin and Navani tell Dalinar how much Sadeas sucks, and Navani shows off a new fabrial she helped invent. Suddenly, Dalinar finds himself in a vision where he meets Noadon after a desolation and tells him to write a book. Noadon tells him this is a foolish idea, and Dalinar is crushed. When he awakes from his vision, Navani discovers that Dalinar is speaking an ancient language, and that with this they can decipher the Dawn chant. This also proving that Dalinar is not crazy.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, so let's see. The first thing that I have marked here,
He brings up surge binders.
Yeah, that's what I was about to talk about.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because Dalinar is like, what are surge binders? Because Noadon's talking about that. And he goes, what do you think should be done with the surge binders? And Noadon says, I don't know if we can force them to do anything. Their power, well, Alakavish proves that the allure that surge binders have for the common people, if only there was a way to encourage them. They need to be better, old friend. We all do. The responsibility of what we've been given, whether it be the crown or the Nahel bond? Nahel bond needs to make us better. But yeah, it says he can read the disagreement in his face. I realize my thoughts on the subject are unconventional. Perhaps the rest of you are right. Perhaps our abilities are proof of a divine election. But if this is true, should we not be more wary of how we act? And this is when he realizes who he's talking to.
Yeah.
He's like, this is so familiar. Like, what? And then also, this is when we see he walks out onto the balcony and there's just thousands of corpses on the ground.
Yeah.
And he can see like pyres where they're going and starting to burn these corpses. But he's like, oh my God, this is Kholinar. Like he can tell by the way the city looks and like the stone formations. He's like, oh my God. So we hear a little bit about the surge binders. We don't get like a ton of information on what they are.
Yeah.
Just that they are apparently helpful for common people. Mm-hmm. What were you going to say?
We also see, like, in that same, where he's, like, looking out over Kholinar, like, these giant rock monsters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bodies, let's say, he says there were rocks, a strange shape scattered among the corpses, stones cut like blood of my fathers. Those aren't stones, they're creatures. Massive creatures, easily 5 or 6 times the size of a person. Their skin dull and gray like granite. They had long limbs and skeletal bodies. The forelegs, or were they arms, set into wide shoulders. The faces were lean, narrow, and arrow-like.
Ooh.
Presumably, like at this point, those are the Voidbringers. Like
that's what I thought, yeah.
Based on like what Yasna has like studied and like Shallan's seeing Yasna's notes, presumably those creatures are Voidbringers.
Probably.
Like that's what like from just that's the assumption we can make based on the information that we have.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, like the giant monsters that nobody has ever seen before.
Seen or like recorded even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be a Voidbringer. Come on now.
Yeah. So that's just presumably.
Yeah.
What's going on.
I didn't really have that much marked down for this chapter.
I marked down a little bit here at the end where he comes out of the vision and Navani's like, can you repeat what you just said? And he repeats what it is. And she goes and grabs that book and she goes, no, this is literally what you are saying could prove this hypothesis. This sentence isn't much, but this could be the key to translating the entire script of the Dawn Chant. And Adolin's like, I mean, he could have heard that like one phrase.
Yeah.
And Navani goes and extrapolated an entire language from it.
Yeah.
This is not gibberish, and it's no language that people now speak. I suspect it to be what it is. I expect it is what it seems, the Dawn Chant. So unless you can think of another way your father learned to speak a dead language, Adolin, the visions are most certainly real.
Talk to him. Talk to him. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we know that Dalinar is like...
Not insane.
Not insane.
Which we knew that, but like he now has proof.
And this is like at this point, once he knows he's not crazy, he decides not to abdicate.
Yep.
Adolin.
Yep.
So.
Do you have anything else for this chapter? Because I feel like we can also tie in the next one because it takes...
I do not. That was my last little note. So
let's hop into the next one because I got some stuff.
Chapter 61.
Yeah.
Right for wrong.
Hours after the vision, the group discusses the desolations, the heralds, and the night's radiance. Soon it's just Dalinar and Navani, and they finally kiss. Dalinar says he needs time to think, but Navani says, nuh-uh.
Nuh-uh.
No, sir. All right, so, yeah, we get kind of like a little bit more information on like the desolations and everything and what they were. And this is where Dalinar also says, like, I may have seen corpses of Voidbringers.
Yeah.
And, like, he's like, can that give us more proof? And Navani's like, nothing nearly as good as the linguistics because, like, that's, like, what we have and everything.
Yeah, it gives her, like, physical proof, and they also are going to be able to decode an entire ancient language that they've never been able to before. Yeah.
And so, like, they talk about the Night's Radiance and how they presumably fell and everything. And they're, like, talking. This is where they reveal to Navani that Dalinar went to the Night Watcher and used the old magic and everything. And Navani's just like, what did you do? And he's like, I'm not telling.
No.
Mm-mm. Hi, Zeus. But yeah. And they talk about, like, so what is the desolations? And Navani's just like, so nobody likes to talk about them. But, like, with the Ardents, or she says, like, that would be something that you'd have to talk about, like, folklorists among your father's clerks, who would serve you better in that matter. So, like, even, like, I think the Ardentia don't really talk about the desolations. They mainly use, like, the Voidbringers as a means of, like, like...
explaining it away, kind of.
Yeah, where they're just like, oh, they're just evil, and we need to do better, so we are not like them.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is cool. Yes.
I think we get some pretty good Navani lore right here.
Yeah, I had it marked down. Go ahead.
But her saying, I returned because I have no home. I'm expected to sit out of important events because my husband's dead. Lounge around, pampered but ignored. I make them uncomfortable. The queen, the other women at court. She says, I won't take it from you, Dalinar. We were friends before I even met Gavilar. You still know me as me and not some shadow of a rain that crumbled years ago, don't you? And then he sees her crying, 2 small tears. He had rarely seen her so sincere, and so he kissed her. I remember the first time reading this, I was like, I don't know about that because that's like your dead brother's wife and like technically like your kid's aunt. Mm-hmm. No, it's so right.
Dude, the first time I read it, I was pumped. The second time I read it, I was pumped. When I read this the other day, I literally put, yeah.
That's so funny.
I love Dalinar and Navani so much.
I do too.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
Man. Also, I think it was in here on the very last page. Mm-hmm. Blood of my fathers, he thought. Why can't these things ever be simple? I underlined and said, take a shot for every time Dalinar says blood of my fathers.
No, literally.
Because he says it so much.
That could be a drinking game.
Dude, here, I thought about this.
Okay.
I thought of, say, blood of my father, set his jaw / her jaw. That happened so... Specifically with Dalinar set his jaw. That happens so much. Bringing their lips to a line, that also is a very common thing. There's like a lot of like little things in here.
That's just like a common like way that he writes.
Yeah, that's just a used like phrase in here. So I would be very, very curious if anybody has like taken those and like counted how many times it is.
Maybe on the next reread.
Maybe I'll...
We'll sit down and we'll do it.
Well, we could probably find something online and what is it? You F whatever and find it. Yeah.
Get like the PDF of it. Mm-hmm. What I was going to bring up, because you already brought up the last page, but
yeah,
this related to something I said earlier, so I wanted to be sure that I touched on it. And Navani's saying there's something going wrong in the world. The king of Yakaved was assassinated. He was killed by a Shin Shardbearer in white clothing. And then she says, something's going on. Something bigger than our war here. Something bigger than Gavilar. Have you heard of the twisted things men say when they die? Most ignore it, but surgeons are talking. And storm wardens whisper that the high storms are growing more powerful. So because I brought up the death rattle earlier, I wanted to touch on that again. Just to be like... Here's where it's talked about. Yep. End of thought. Did you have anything else?
No, I just confirmed he said blood of my fathers 3 pages in a row. 3 pages in a row.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dalinar's really going through it.
He's what's happening? Anyway, but yes, I also had that underline where she's talking about just like things are getting crazy and I'm scared.
Yeah.
And I need you.
She needs him so bad.
God, I need her so bad.
Ryan has the biggest crush on Navani.
That's not true. I have the biggest crush on somebody else in this book. You'll see.
Who?
You'll see. 62. It's the next bridge run. Kaladin enacts his plan using Stormlight and his new armor. Every single bridge is laid in place since all of the attention... okay. That's all right. We're going to start. Every single bridge is laid in place since all of the attention from the Parshendi was on him. After the battle, Sadeas promotes Matal, and he plans for Kaladin to do the same thing every bridge run. Kaladin then starts showing the group first aid and realizes he's in shock. A second group of archer comes and is about to fire on Bridge 4 when Dalinar himself comes and saves them.
It's so true.
It's so true. He does do that.
Yeah, so I marked when they're on the bridge run and they're getting closer Kaladin ducks down and dashed out in front of them, Lopen waiting to the side, and he tossed Kaladin the sack of armor. Matal is screaming at Kaladin in a panic, but the bridge crews were already in motion. Kaladin focused on his goal, protecting Bridge 4, and sucked in sharply. Stormlight flooded him from the pouch at his waist, but he didn't draw too much, just enough to give him a jolt of energy. So he is in front of the Parshendi archers in armor made of Parshendi carapace. So, as we talked about earlier, they see it as very offensive to touch their dead. And so the fact that Kaladin is literally wearing armor made from their dead bodies.
Yeah.
With like a shield with like bones on the front.
Yep.
They are like pissed off. It is pure anger coming from the Parshendi at this point.
I made a note here where it's the namesake of the chapter where he had a prayer tied to his arm, and it's 3 glyphs: wind, protection, beloved. It's a prayer to Jezrien, the Stormfather, to protect loved ones and friends. And I found it very interesting because, as we've seen, I think Kaladin has kind of blamed the Almighty for a lot of his transgressions. Like, he literally thinks he's cursed, but obviously since then he knows like he's not, I think, cursed and everything. But it's interesting to see now that he's like, oh, if I'm going to do this, like, I literally want everybody's help, including God's.
Right.
And I thought that was very cool. And another thing, the death rattle at the beginning of this chapter.
Oh, I didn't even read it. Whoa.
You should read it.
Well, I'm sure that I read it when I started, but oops, sorry, I went really far back in the chapter. The darkness becomes a palace. Let it rule. Let it rule.
I don't know what that means, but that sounds awesome. That's all I wanted to say. But yes, I didn't. What else did you have marked down on in this?
I have marked down after the battle has been going on for a minute. And as you brought up in your summary, we see those Parshendi archers coming and knocking their arrows, getting ready to fire at Bridge 4. And then everyone's exposed. They're perfect targets. And then a force crashed into the Parshendi line, a single figure in slate gray armor, wielding a sword as long as many men were tall. The shardbearer swept through the distracted archers with urgency, slicing into their ranks. Arrows flew towards Kaladin's team, but they were loosed too early, aimed poorly. A few came close as the bridgeman ducked for cover, but nobody was hit. Parshendi fell before the sweeping blade of the shardbearer, some toppling into the chasm, others scrambling back. The rest died with burned out eyes. In seconds, the squad of 50 archers was reduced to corpses. And then it says that he turned, armor seeming to glow as he raised his blade in a salute of respect towards the bridgeman.
Yeah, he does.
Yep.
So this is where Lopen calls Kaladin.
Right.
Okay.
Right before the archers, like... oh, yeah. He says Kaladin. Lopen said, sounding worried. Oh, what? Lopen had called him by his name rather than saying Goncho.
So you know immediately something's up.
Yeah.
Man. Dalinar saved him.
Yeah, he did. He's a man of honor.
He's a man of honor.
But Kaladin's like storming light eyes.
Shut up, Kaladin. Shut up.
I mean, I understand why he feels that way, though.
Yeah.
Because, like, up until this point, every other light eyes, like, sucks. And the only reason we know that Dalinar doesn't suck is because we get to read his point of view. Cal doesn't know that. He's just like, oh, that guy's just like the rest of them.
Yeah. Moash makes a point here. Moash knelt beside him. An assault against a prepared foe without any bridges lost. A shard bearer coincidentally coming to our rescue. Sadeas himself complimenting us. You almost make me think I should get one of those armbands.
Oh, yeah.
Like, man.
Yep. Making a Moash
Kaladin's
a little
got
religious.
God and anime on his side. You kidding me?
That's so funny.
Have you seen the thing where it was somebody, it was something online, maybe it was a video, where it was just like, yeah, the Stormlight Archives are kind of like magical girls.
What?
You know?
No, I have not seen that.
They get a spread, and they literally go through transformations, and they get magical powers. They're just magical girls.
They're just magical girls.
Dude.
That's hysterical, actually.
Oh my god.
Chapter 63, Fear.
Let's see. Okay, actually, sorry, that was legitimate. Kaladin and crew are in the chasm, and Leighton is making armor for more members. Kals tells Moash that he wants him as a runner to protect the men, and Moash accepts greatly. Teft wants Kal to show the men some moves, but he refuses, and Teft tells him that his time is going to come sooner or later.
I actually have no notes on this chapter.
I do.
Okay.
Right here. Let's see. Where it's Moash and Kaladin talking. Moash says, "I'll guard you with my life, Kaladin. I swear it to you by the blood of my fathers."
Blood of my fathers.
Blood of my fathers. Kaladin met Moash's intense eyes and nodded. "All right, then. Go help Haber and Yake. They're still off on their thrust." Moash jogged off to do as told. He didn't call Kaladin Sir, and didn't seem to regard him with the same unspoken reverence as the others. That made Kaladin more comfortable with him. I think this is really kind of the first time we're seeing the relationship blossom between Kaladin and Moash, kind of showing that they are starting to become friends.
Yeah.
And probably closer
colleagues. I would also like to bring up right before that, Kaladin, talks about, "I'm glad I've trained. I'd have gotten myself killed by working so hard, but wouldn't have meant anything." Moash says, "There's a difference between us, Kaladin." And Kaladin raises an eyebrow. Moash says, "You wanted to be able to save someone. Me, I want to kill somebody." We don't know who. He says, "Maybe I'll say someday."
Yeah.
But, yeah.
His whole intention is for vengeance.
Yeah.
Which is like
that. Moash is alive out of spite for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the best motivator?
Spite.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's all I have for that chapter.
You know why I read all of One Piece at first?
Why?
Spite.
Really?
I started it because I was just like, there's no way it's that good.
And now you won't shut up about it.
I have not talked about One Piece with you in a while. So shut up.
But it would be like consistent for like every time I'd see you, you'd be like, "So when are you going to read One Piece?"
Because you showed a little bit of interest in it one time, and then I was just like, okay.
Look, I'll get to it at some point.
Yeah. That's why I'm not bothering you about it. Anyway, let's stop talking about the goat and talk about another goat.
All right.
Dalinar Nabani.
Chapter 64, A Man of Extremes.
Dalinar and Nabani discuss their relationship and also the issues with Elhokar when suddenly horns blow and they find out that they are going to be taking on the tower.
Yes. I think I had a note in here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I don't know if you have anything early on in the chapter. Mine's a little bit later.
I don't.
Okay. So while they are getting to the bridge, to the plateau, getting the bridge to the plateau, 35 men marched in rusty orange carapace armor, expertly crafted by Leighton to fit onto leather jerkins and caps. They'd cut off arm guards and shin guards from several different headpieces and had been ornamented, at Leighton's insistence, with ridges and cuts, like tiny horns or the edges of a crab's shell. The breastplates and guards were ornamented as well, cut into tooth-like patterns, each one reminiscent of a saw blade. Earless Jacks had brought blue and white paint to draw designs on across the orange armor. Each member of Bridge 4 carried a large wooden shield strapped tightly now with red Parshendi bones, ribs for the most part shaped in spiral patterns. Some of the men had tied finger bones to the centers so they would rattle, and others had attached sharp protruding ribs to the sides of their helms, giving them the look of fangs or mandibles.
It's a really cool image.
It is a really cool image.
Yeah. I did have this marked down where they reached their bridge and formed up, shields strapped to the rods on the sides to await use. As they hefted their bridge, a spontaneous round of cheering rose up from the other crews. Mm-hmm. That's new, Tef said from Kaladin's left. Guess they finally realized what we are. And what's that? We're their champions. Bridge forward. That's it's great.
So cool.
It's so cool. It's so cool. It's great because not only has Kaladin finally won over Bridge 4, but he's won over like the other bridgemen.
All the bridgemen, yeah.
Yeah.
Because their actions are saving the rest of their lives. Mm-hmm. Like, they are not just disposable anymore.
No.
Yeah. It makes their lives like have meaning again.
Yes. Adolin realizing he's and then the very next thing is like, my father is not insane, Adolin thought. Alive with energy and excitement as his armor strapped on his shard plate. That's just, it's just a great moment with him.
He said Dalinar Kholin wasn't growing weak. He wasn't getting senile. He wasn't a coward. Dalinar had been right and Adolin had been wrong. After much soul searching, Adolin had come to a decision. He was glad that he had been wrong.
Man, such just nice moments.
Such nice moments. Except then Sadeas walks up and they're like, what is he doing here? He should already be out with his crews. And then Sadeas is like, no, we should go together.
Yeah.
We should go together.
Because they're buds now.
Yeah,
they should fight as one and take
besties.
The tower. Bring a large force there and two sides are inaccessible. Like, they're going to do it. They're going to
this is going to turn the tide.
Yeah. This is going to win the war. You ready to move on?
I am.
To the tower?
Chapter 65.
All right, so Sadeas' men are crossing the chasm to the tower, and Kaladin is distracting the Parshendi arrows to his fullest extent. Kaladin uses the most stormlight he's ever used and negates majority of the shots. The Parshendi seem to know what he is and his abilities, and they back off. Kaladin is exhausted after this and finds both Scar and Teft are injured. Dalinar and his men are in the thick of battle when he is once again thrown off with disgust at all the life lost. He looks back and notices that Sadeas is abandoning them all to die.
Yeah. The only thing I have marked is at the very end of this chapter. So if you have anything else, please go ahead.
I don't necessarily for this chapter. Just the thrill vanishing around him and whatnot, because he saw like a very young Parshendi boy.
Yeah, like he was like, oh my god, that's a youth.
Yeah, that's a kid. And that's like awful.
Yeah.
And Kaladin's like doing the most with like all his power and everything.
Yeah. He's really showing off.
But that's really all that I had kind of like wrote down.
Yeah. I marked at the very end of our chapter here. Mm-hmm. So I marked here where it says, Dalinar climbed, seeking the top of the formation, dropping his shard blade. He crested the rise and stood looking northward over his troops and the Parshendi, northward towards Sadeas. Adolin, climbing up beside him, gauntleted hands slapping up his visor. Oh no, he whispered. Sadeas' army was retreating across the chasm to the northern staging plateau. Half of it was across already. The 8 groups of bridgemen he'd lent Dalinar had pulled back and were gone. Sadeas was abandoning Dalinar and his troops, leaving them surrounded on 3 sides by Parshendi, alone on the shattered plains, and he was taking all of his bridges with him.
So Sadeas is not a chiller.
No. He's the opposite, I would say, actually.
Yeah, he's actually a really, really bad guy.
Yeah.
Just like we were told at the beginning.
And we thought we could trust him. Mm-hmm. There was the one person in the vision that said to trust him. And it was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Chapter
66.
Bridge Codes. 4 realizes what is happening, and Kaladin goes to confirm that Sadeas is indeed unharmed. Adolin and Dalinar find a break in the battle and rally their men together, saying they are going to die with honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I have something marked here.
Go for it.
This is my fault. I should have never risked our house for those foolish dreams. No, Adolin said. He sounded surprised at himself for saying, "No, father, it's not your fault." Dalinar stared at his son. That was not what he'd expected to hear. "What would you have done differently?" Adolin asked. "Would you stop trying to make something better of Alethkar? Would you become like Sadeas and the others?" "No, I wouldn't have you become that man. Father, regardless of what it would gain us, I wish to the heralds that we hadn't let Sadeas trick us into this, but I will not blame you for this deceit." I really like that because him and Adolin are finally just like having this moment where he's like, "You were right."
Yeah.
And he literally says, "You are right to follow the codes. You were right to try to unite Alethkar, and I was a fool for fighting you on it every step along the path. Perhaps if I hadn't spent so much time distracting you, you would have seen this day coming." And they kind of have this moment where it's just like, wait a minute. We are House Kholin. We are men of honor, and we are going to die men of honor regardless.
Yeah, and I feel like every single one of the men is fine with dying a man of honor because of like the way that Dalinar has made the choice to lead them.
Yeah.
The entire time that they've like been in his army.
Oh, yeah.
And because like I feel like, you know, maybe Sadeas' army, they would maybe not be as like cool with it.
No.
They would freak out. Dalinar's men are like, you know what? This is it. I'm going to go down fighting because that is the honorable thing to do. I'm going to protect my high prince until the absolute last second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I had any notes.
I don't either.
Just besides the fact that we, it is storming a little bit outside, so I apologize if you guys can hear that. Yeah, like Sadeas goes, or Kaladin goes over and doesn't see literally a single scratch on Sadeas' armor. So, feels good, man. All right, chapter 67, words.
Kaladin sees an opportunity for them to escape by trailing behind the returning army. However, he realizes what needs to happen, and Bridge 4 decides that they are going to attempt to rescue the Kholin army. They make their way to the battle, but Kaladin is too fatigued to continue and has a flashback to Tien's death. After this, he jumps in to protect his men, saying the second ideal, knocking back the Parshendi about to attack.
I think for me, this is where the book really hits. Like, obviously, this is the climax of the book, is what's happening right here.
Yeah.
But for me, this is where it genuinely was like a turning point of like, I'm hooked. I want to read everything that's ever been written about this series now.
Yeah.
I love these next couple chapters an incredible amount.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we do see that they're like, oh my God, we can escape. Like, this is our chance to go. We can be free men. And then Syl is like looking back to where the tower is. And she's like, this just doesn't. She's also manifested into like a full human body.
Yeah, she's like big.
Yeah, she's like literally like human sized. And she's like, I just don't feel right about this. Like, I'd like feel sick to her stomach if she could. Like, it's just not right what's happening. You know, and when they are kind of going back and forth deciding on what to do, he says, besides, if we did somehow save some of those men, they'd talk and Sadeas would know we'd still live. He'd hunt us down and kill us. By going back, we'd throw away our chances at freedom. Because they were considering like, no, it's the right thing to like go back and to help them. But then they're like, well, then we could run away after. But then there's like, oh, but there'd be talk. And then they'd be like, how did that whole army get across? And so they realize like that's not gonna do it. But there is also in the same page an interaction with Syl where she asks again, are wind spren attracted to wind or do they make it? Kaladin says, I don't know. Does it matter? She says, perhaps not. You see, I've remembered what kind of spren I am. He says, is this the time for it, Syl? And she says, I bind things, Kaladin. She said, turning and meeting his eyes. I'm honor spren, spirit of oaths, of promises, and of nobility. Kaladin could faintly hear the sounds of the battle, or was that just his mind, searching for something he knew to be there? Could he hear the men dying? Could he see the soldiers running away, scattering, leaving their warlord alone? Everyone else fleeing, Kaladin kneeling over Dalet's body, a green and burgundy banner flying alone on the field.
And he makes this epiphany. Dalinar always fought at the front.
Yeah.
Just like Kaladin.
He says, storm it, we have to go back.
Yep.
And they bridge up and then they go back to the
And it's not
tower.
even like he looks back at Bridge 4 and they all nod like yeah,
it's the right thing to do.
Oh man. Yeah, they go and do it and then we get we get the craziest scene where
Kaladin they end up scavenging some like spears and armor, and they're trying to get back to the plateau to put the bridge down so they can help Dalinar and Adolin and everyone like come back down off the plateau. And there's that crazy scene where Kaladin literally like sucks in Stormlight, and every volley of arrows that has been shot in their direction goes into his shield.
It's so cool.
It's so insane.
It's so awesome and righteous.
Yeah, I actually, the next thing that I marked was that I just started to talk about it. But it literally says like his shield was covered in arrows, dozens of them, some splitting the others. The bones crossing the shield's front had shattered. The wood was in splinters. Some of the arrows had gone through and hit his forearms, and that was the pain. Over 100 arrows, an entire volley pulled into a single shield. Dude.
Yeah. It's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to freak out again.
Yeah, but it's crazy. But that's the reason they're like out of spheres now, and Kaladin is like super just drained.
Yeah.
And he's like essentially out of the battle, and he's just like he's like we still have a job to do.
Yeah, and this is where he like kind of passes out, I guess, or I don't know, just because it kind of goes into a state of delirium, and which is where we find out that he actually watched Tien die.
Yeah,
because the whole time, it says like, oh, I wasn't able to be there for my brother, I wasn't able to protect him, and this whole time you can just kind of assume like, well, they were in different squads and so he couldn't be there to protect him, but we actually see that he like watches his brother get murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where he hears the words, because he like confronts like the squad leader of Tien and everything.
Yeah.
He's like, you put them out front like with no experience or anything. Like, why would you do that? And he literally tells him like, got to do what you can to stay alive, son. Turn a liability into an advantage, whatever you can. Remember that if you live.
Yeah.
Literally talking about like how he used his brother and everything. And now Kaladin actually takes that to heart. And he's like, I got to do what, turn a liability into an advantage.
Into an advantage. Yeah. And so he gets up. He realizes the bridge is still not all the way across by the time that he like comes back to. And he just gets up and he's just so out of it. But he has this idea and he starts going across the bridge and he screams, reaches the end of the bridge, finding a tiny surge of strength somewhere. He raises his spear and throws himself off the end of the wooden platform, launching into the air above the cavernous void. His drained, worn-out body barely had any strength left. In that moment of crystallized time, he looked down on his enemies, Parshendi with their marbled red and black skin, soldiers raising finely crafted weapons as if to cut him from the sky, strangers, oddities in carapace breastplates and skull caps, many of them wearing beards woven with glowing gemstones. Kaladin breathed in, and like the power of salvation itself, like rays of sunlight from the eyes of the Almighty, stormlight exploded from these gemstones. It surged through the air, pulled in visible streams, like glowing columns of luminescent smoke, twisting and turning and spiraling like tiny funnel clouds until they slammed into him, and the storm came to life again. And then a little bit later, the words, a voice says, urgent, as if directly into his mind. In that moment, Kaladin was amazed to realize that he knew them, though he'd never been told them. He says, I will protect those who cannot protect themselves. The second ideal of the Knights Radiant.
Banger.
And then on the next page, as soon as this happens, it's a crack shook the air like an enormous clap of thunder. A burst of whiteness watched out from Kaladin, a wave of white smoke, and Moash whispered, something just changed. Something important. That whole scene just gives me chills. Like it's just great. It's so good.
And so I'm going to go back a little bit, and it's when Kaladin, he like blinks and he's like, oh, I just had a moment where I just relived my brother's death. And Syl says, Kaladin, a voice whispered, he blinked. Syl was hovering in front of him. Do you know the words? All I wanted to do was protect them. That's why I've come. The words, Kaladin. It shows that this is the reason why Syl has picked him, because Kaladin embodies the ideals.
Yeah.
Where in this moment, for sure, he wants to protect everyone. And that's what we've been seeing like this whole book. Like he wants to save everybody.
Yeah.
Which is like, I guess this Order of Knights Radiant's whole deal.
Yeah.
They're meant to protect people.
Right.
Especially the ones who cannot protect themselves.
I just love it. I love it so much.
It's awesome. Are you ready?
Chapter 68. Eshonai.
The army fights their way towards Bridge 4, but Dalinar finds himself locked in battle with an enemy shard bearer. Kaladin makes his way to Adolin and says that he needs to lead the retreat and he will save his father. Dalinar is on the ropes and the enemy shardbearer seems to speak to him when Kaladin comes and saves him. They make it across the chasm with only a fourth of the soldiers that the Kholin army had before. Dalinar then promises Kaladin that he will take care of all his men.
Yeah. Sorry. I just got teary thinking about it. I really love these last couple chapters. God.
Strangely enough, I don't have that much marked down here, just because I feel like it's a little straightforward.
It is a little straightforward, just because like Ryan and I were talking about this when we like took a break. A lot of this is action based, and so obviously we're not stopping to talk about the combat as much, just because that is a big part of this section of the book, and we're not gonna talk and be like, it was so cool the way that he waved his sword. Like, obviously we have said that a couple times for something.
Yeah, we literally just said the last chapter about but you know, we can't go with like, that was a cool way that he took down that Parshendi.
Yeah, like we can't point it out every time, and just like a lot of it is the action. So if you want more of the actual action, listen to the audiobook, read the book.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we're just here chatting about it. Yes.
Did you have something?
I was actually, well, I said we weren't really going to talk about the combat. I did make a note here.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Contradict yourself.
I am going to contradict myself real quick. I talked about this earlier, I believe. And it's just when Kaladin is fighting the Parshendi, and it says he's impressed by them, each with a slightly different style of combat. It seemed that they were sending only 2 or 4 at him at a time. Their attacks were careful and controlled, and each pair fought as a team. They seemed to respect him for his skill. And it also said that they seemed to back away from fighting Scar or Teft and the other spearmen who were wounded, instead of focusing, and instead were focusing on Kaladin and Moash, and other ones who showed the most skill. So it shows that, like, obviously everyone's perceiving the Parshendi to just kind of be these like savages, essentially.
Which is not true.
It's not true at all, and they just have, like, they are honorable. Like, the way that they fight and the way they carry themselves is like honor.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Anyways, sorry.
So
what you got?
I kind of find it funny a little bit. How Kaladin just kind of keeps jumping from person to person, and they're just like, well, nobody here's in charge because they're all dead. And he's like, okay, you're in charge now. Cool. Who's the next person ahead of you? That'd be probably like
this person who is also dead.
Yeah. And then he goes to, like, he sees like a guy in blue, and he's like, hey, what's up? We need to go. And he's like, I'm with the Cobalt Guard. I'm here to protect Adolin. He's like, okay. Then he goes to Adolin. He's like, hey, what's up? We gotta go. And he's like, I'm not going to leave my father. He's like, okay, I'll go get him. You need to lead the retreat now, because if you die, they don't have anybody to lead them. They don't have anything. And then he finally makes it to Dalinar, who's like, he's struggling. Yeah. Because he's been fighting this whole time. And also this shard bearer just talked to him. Yeah. And doesn't he says, it is you. I have found you at last.
Yes. And so he's like, Dalinar's kind of beaten down at this point. So he's assuming he's a little delusional right now, because he hears the Parshendi, I almost name dropped, the Parshendi speak to him.
You could.
I could, but for people that don't, it technically would be a spoiler. Like, we have the name, but I'm not going to spoil that for anybody that, whatever. So the Parshendi says it is you, and he's like, what is going on? And then something disturbed the back ranks of watching Parshendi soldiers. That was something familiar about the scene. Parshendi all around, Shardbearer in danger. Dalinar had lived it before, but from the other side. He's like, that Shardbearer couldn't be talking to him. He must be delusional. What was that disturbance in the ring of Parshendi watchers? Sadeas, Dalinar found himself thinking. He's come to rescue me as I rescued him. He'll come. I know he will. He'll gather them. And the Parshendi were yelling, moving, twisting. Suddenly, a figure exploded through them. Not Sadeas at all. A young man with a strong face and long, curling black hair. He carried a spear, and he was glowing. And Dalinar just goes, what?
That's awesome. Yeah. So he sees Kaladin, and Kaladin, of course,
and clocks him glowing.
You're glowing. But he also realizes, I'm a little loopy.
He's like, I must have hit my head too hard.
Yeah, because like when
my helm is shattered.
When he comes to, he's not glowing anymore. Right. Which is probably good. Yes. And he basically says, like, he saves Dalinar, and he tells him, on your horse, And he says, "You're supposed to be an honorable one." The spearman snarled. Dalinar had rarely been spoken to in such a way, particularly by a dark-eyed man. "Well, your men won't leave without you, and my men won't leave without them. So you will get on your horse, and we will escape this death trap. Do you understand?" Dalinar met the young man's eyes, then nodded. Of course, he was right. They had to leave the enemy shardbearer. How would they get the armor out anyway? Tow the corpse all the way? And I love that that's just like going through Dalinar's head, where he's just like, yeah, how are we going to get this thing out anyway?
Yeah, he's like, I guess I'll give up getting this shard plate for Renarin.
I was just like, all right, Dalinar, dude, this guy is literally saving your life.
Yeah, like you literally, if these men had not come back for you, you would be dead. Yeah. And in your head, he's like, but the shard plate.
He was ready to die yeah, I will admit that.
Yeah, he was ready to die, but then he's like, but now I could go back and now I can get this shard plate for my son.
Yeah.
And Kaladin's like, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
We need to go.
Yeah. Now.
And then Dalinar's like, all right.
Okay.
I couldn't even get it back anyways.
Yeah. You got anything else for this?
No.
All right. Chapter 69.
Justice.
Navani approaches Sadeas, asking what happened. After Sadeas tells her a lie, she burns a large prayer on the ground before them, which means justice. Immediately after that, Dalinar and Adolin return and approach Sadeas' war camp. Sadeas is furious, and him and Dalinar have a very harsh and hushed conversation. Dalinar then gives up his shard blade in return for all of the bridgemen within Sadeas' camp. Dalinar then goes and meets with Elhokar and puts him in his place.
Is it all of the bridgemen or is it just Bridge 4?
It's all of them. It is every single bridgeman in his camp.
Okay. I think I missed that specificity there. Okay. Yeah, so I really like the scene of Navani writing the prayer out on the ground. Like, I think it's
great.
It's a very beautiful, like, where she's crying, she's upset, she's like, there's no way this happened. She's like, I just kissed this guy. I finally got him out of his shell. I finally got him to a point where he was like, all right, fine, I'll court you or whatever. And she's like, this can't be happening. Renarin finds out. He's like, oh my God, I'm the High Prince now. He's losing his mind. And like, she is just so beautifully, like, she's getting the ink and everything from like her not wards, but like from her assistants, whatever. And it's just making the hugest, the biggest cliff that she can. And it says justice. Like, it's not even a prayer for like, safe travels to the afterlife, like to the Tranquiline halls. It is literally justice. But just that whole scene of her doing it while she's crying and she's wiping away her tears and she's getting paint on her face because she's wiping away her tears while she's painting this glyph. Like, it's just a really beautiful scene, in my opinion.
And I love kind of the description where it goes, art was about creation. That was its soul, its essence, creation and order. You took something disorganized, a splash of ink, an empty page, and you built something from it, something from nothing, the soul of creation. And then jump forward about another paragraph or two. Let's see. What was a prayer, if not creation? Making something where nothing existed, creating a wish out of despair, a plea out of anguish, bowing one's back before the Almighty and forming humility from the empty pride of a human life. Something from nothing, true creation. I just love that description. It's a great, like, I think, idea and like belief of what a prayer is.
Right, I agree.
I think it's just very good writing.
It's very beautiful.
And I think she either talks about it here or she has talked about it before, where it's like, this is her curse, where everything slips from her grasp.
Yeah, that is in this chapter.
Okay, yeah.
Where everything just goes wrong for her. She's like, the second I get something, it just slips through my fingers. So, yeah. I don't have anything else until kind of the end of the chapter. Or to the point where Dalinar's giving up his blade. So if you have anything in between there,
you
feel free.
Go right ahead, because that's what I also had.
Obviously, Dalinar and Sadeas talk, and it doesn't go well. Dalinar's like, you left me out there. Mm-hmm. You left me out there.
Yeah.
To die.
And Sadeas says, I was doing you a favor.
Yeah. And anyways, so Dalinar has promised Kaladin that he would save their lives. And so he, brings out Oathbringer, slams on the ground, says, here you go, here's my shard blade. Kaladin watches this. He shakes off his numbness. He's like, what? He scrambled after the High Prince, grabbing his armored arm. Wait, what just happened? Dalinar turned to him. Then the High Prince laid a hand on Kaladin's shoulder, the gauntlet gleaming blue, mismatched with the rest of his slate gray armor. I don't know what has been done to you. I can only guess what your life has been like. But know this, you will not be bridgemen in my camp, nor will you be slaves. And Kaladin says, but... Dalinar says, what is a man's life worth? Dalinar asks softly. The slave masters say one is worth about 2 emerald bones, Kaladin says, frowning. Dalinar says, what do you say? A life is priceless, he said immediately, quoting his father. And Dalinar smiled, wrinkle lines extending from the corners of his eyes. Coincidentally, that is the exact value of a shard blade. So today, you and your men sacrificed to buy me 2,600 priceless lives, and all that I had to repay you with was a single priceless sword. I call that a bargain.
I love that the thunder in the background.
I know, that was really like a good timing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. What?
I did that.
Oh.
No.
I thought it might be Zeus, my dog named after the god of thunder.
But yeah, it's just a great scene, because I think what we see here is not only like Kaladin finally being shown a man of honor.
Yeah.
But a complete like 180 from what he experienced with Amaran.
Right. And just every other Light Eyes.
Yeah.
Like every Light Eyes he's come into contact to, basically his entire life besides like Lord Wistio has been horrible.
Yes.
Yeah. I have one of my favorite scenes right after that.
You go right ahead.
I would love to talk about this.
Oh, you're talking about with Elhokar?
With Elhokar, yeah.
Yeah.
So...
awesome.
Dalinar goes to see Elhokar in the palace sitting room. Elhokar starts being like, honestly, uncle, I'm growing very intolerant of your reputation in camp. What they are saying reflects poorly on me, you see. And he trailed off as Dalinar stopped about a pace from him. Uncle, is everything all right? My door guards reported some kind of mishap with the plateau assault today, but my mind was full of thoughts. Did I miss anything vital? Yes, Dalinar said. Then he raised his leg and kicked the king in the chest.
Epic. Awesome.
Like, I laugh out loud. Like, I laughed out loud earlier when I was reading that. It's so good. And then Elhokar's just like, help me. Somebody help me.
And
I'm
he
being
says,
murdered.
no, they're my men.
Yeah, I was like,
I put them there.
He's like, I put them there and I told them not to come in no matter how much you screamed.
Yeah, so I could kill you right now. But you know what? I'm not.
Right. And then I love where he goes, you cut the girth strap yourself, didn't you? And Dalinar's just like, because Elhokar's whole reasoning was like, well, if I make it look like there was an attempt on my life, then you will take it seriously. And Dalinar was like, I was taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And he was like, obviously, like, you didn't do the gems in your shard plate, so you did uncover something.
Yeah.
But this was not the way to go about that.
No.
And you will announce me High Prince of War, by the way.
He's like, by the way, me, I'm an adult. Everybody else around me, including you, are not adults. So we're going to treat them how you guys are acting, like children.
Yeah.
And then right at the end, he says, by the way, I'm courting your mom.
Which is...
awesome.
So
dude,
good.
By the way, I'm courting your mother.
Like, so right before he does this, he says, like, he's telling him, we're going to make something of Alethkar. We're going to turn it into a place that men will envy again. Not because of our military prowess, because people here are safe and because justice reigns. We are going to do it, or you and I are going to die in the attempt. And Alethkar says, you say this with eagerness. And Dalinar says, because I finally know exactly what to do. I was trying to be Noadan the Peacemaker, but I'm not. I'm the Blackthorn, a general, and a warlord. I have no talent for backroom politicking, but I'm very good at training troops. Starting tomorrow, every man in each of these camps will be mine. As far as I'm concerned, they're all raw recruits, even the high princes. And Elhokar's like, that's assuming I'll make the proclamation. And Dalinar says, you will. And in return, I promise to find out who is trying to kill you. And then he opens the door so the guards and servants can see him, and he says, he's just fine. See? Letting the guards and servants attend to the king. And that's when he turns and he goes, oh, and Elhokar, your mother and I are now courting. You want to start growing accustomed to that. And that's how it ends.
That's how it ends.
Being like, I'm kissing your mother.
I'm kissing her so good. I'm the best kisser of your mother.
Oh, jeez. I love this part.
Yeah.
Like I said, like I know if we were sitting down in an English class dissecting this book, like this is the climax of the book, like what just happened, the whole thing with the tower, like that is the climax of the book, but it's just the best part. That is the best part of the whole book.
Yeah.
Because like I said, that was the part that, while I know it's 1,000 pages into the book had already hooked me by that point. Like I was already in there, but it was those moments where I was like, I need to know what happens in this entire universe.
Right.
That's where he got me. He got me like hook, line, and sinker. That's where Brandon got me.
I agree. Yeah. I also like, there was something that we didn't touch on, and I know it's mentioned. What else Navani says, and it's in regards to Gavilar. And she says, like, I was married to a man that I never loved. And that was the first time, like, there was inclinations of that during her earlier conversations with Dalinar and everything. But I really liked how that finally gets told to us. Right. And so we're kind of like, raises some questions about Gavilar and everything, maybe.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking that hard into it at this point, to be honest. Okay. Like, raises questions about Gavilar.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm more like...
On this reread, I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
What will we find out about Gavilar?
Not much.
So, part 5 is pretty short. So what we're going to do for the next episode is do part 5, and then we're kind of going to do a wrap-up and talk about the book. Maybe talk about some spoilery stuff. We'll decide when we get there. Yeah, we'll definitely
have like a section that's spoiler free and then a spoiler section.
Yeah, just so, both, if you're a first time reader or if you're a return reader, you can kind of hear both things or only one of the things. But yeah, we're close to wrapping up this book, which is crazy.
Awesome.
So cool.
Yeah.
God, yeah, I'm excited for Words of Radiance. Words of Radiance is Ryan's favorite.
It's my favorite.
I don't know what my favorite is. I think it might be Oathbringer.
Mine is either Words of Radiance or Oathbringer.
I think Oathbringer.
Actually, we'll do a next episode when we talk about the whole book. I'll ask you to do a ranking of all of them.
Okay.
And I want to see if that changes after this whole reread.
I think I gave you a ranking last year.
You did?
Yeah. It's probably going to be the same.
Okay.
So, we'll still do it for the pod.
For the pod.
For the pod.
I think we're done talking about the book.
Yeah. Are we? I don't have anything else to say unless you do.
I don't. So I'll say this. We mentioned last time that for the next episode, we hope to do maybe answering questions from listeners / watchers and viewers.
If anybody wants to.
If anybody wants to. So if you want us to talk about something that you think we might have missed, or maybe go deeper into something, comment down below.
Or you can send an email to listenercast@gmail.com.
Or you can DM us on Instagram @listenercast.
Very true. We need to come up with some Instagram content.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
We both.
Hey, if you have any ideas about Instagram content, let us know.
I think we should be able to like pull some like stuff from the actual physical, like, or not physical, but the video pod. There's got to be some good funny.
Oh yeah.
Moments.
Let's just start a TikTok.
Oh no.
No.
I don't have time to do all of that.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, so I think that's it for today. And if this is where you're leaving off, thanks for listening. As always, give it a rating, a like, recommendations and or suggestions, recommendations, any feedback is always appreciated.
Share with a friend.
Yeah, share with a friend. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. And now we're going to talk about Dragonsteel.
Yeah.
Because there's a ball this year.
There's a ball.
So I'm really excited. This is spoilery.
Is it?
If you have not read further than... Ooh, I don't even know exactly which book, but it is a Stormlight spoiler. So if this is your first read and you somehow have not seen anything about the ball yet, maybe skip this part. So the ball is themed to be Adolin and Shallan's wedding.
Yes.
So I'm interested to see, because like I watched the video obviously they posted, and like Brandon was saying they're gonna have like live actors, and so I'm wondering if at like one point in the ball they're gonna have like kind of the wedding happen, like where they're gonna have some actors dressed up as like Shallan and Adolin, and someone's gonna like officiate it. I'm curious to see.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if that's gonna be a thing. I gotta be so honest, and like I 110% understand why they are charging more for this, but I am not stoked to spend more money.
That's honestly where my I'm a little hesitant on the ball, to be honest. I don't know if I will be attending.
Yeah.
One, it costs more money. Number two,
it's $150.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing, is like I understand why it's priced the way that it is. And I also understand it's only going to people
there will be like food, right?
Oh yeah, and you get like 2 drink tickets, and that's like cocktails or mocktails.
Okay.
I'm hoping that what I'm really hoping is that they have like the wine from the novels. I'd be curious to see if they could.
That would be fun.
If
That's a good idea.
pull that off.
Yeah.
I would be really stoked about that.
Sure.
Oh yeah. But like, yeah, so like I said, I'm not totally...
Horn Eater White will be there.
Has to.
Horn Eater White will be
that
on the menu.
That just basically has to be moonshine, though.
Yeah, but like...
I'm sure it'll just be like a vodka shot or something.
They'll make
make it a cute thing, 100%.
It'll probably like be like
it will not taste
pina
bad.
colada or something. Yeah, something very like simple.
But yeah, I'm just not super stoked about it costing more money, because like I've already spent X amount of dollars on the ticket. And like I know it's only going to people that already have tickets, and of course like most people are going to buy into this, like, because and I also love that it's a 21 and up event. That I can appreciate.
It's 18 and up, not 21,
or
right?
18 and up.
I'm pretty sure it's 18.
Okay, I think you're right. But that makes me happy, because I love being in adult only spaces. Like I don't mind kids being at cons, like 110%. If your kid is into this stuff, bring them.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they're going to have a great time. But it's also nice to have the adult only spaces.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, I've already spent X amount of dollars to get the ticket. I've spent X amount of dollars on the hotel, on the flight. Now you want me to spend $150 more to come to something that I've already paid for? Yeah.
That's one of my holdovers, where I'm just like, so it's the money.
Yeah.
Number two, there is like a dress code.
Yes.
Where it's like formal or like semi-formal wear.
And you said the other day, you were like, I'm not sure I want to pack a suit.
Yeah. That takes up space in a suitcase.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I have the suitcase that I kind of bring everywhere is it's a hanging bag.
Garment bag, yeah.
Yeah, which would be perfect for a suit.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's going to be December in Utah. It's going to be cold. I'm going to have coats.
Yeah. Yeah. So I said, I 110% also understand why it is more money, because it's going to be.
Could rent a tux.
What?
Could rent a tux.
That's what I was thinking. I don't know if maybe you and like Court are remotely the same size, but maybe you could borrow a suit from Court.
No, I got a few pounds on Court, I think. I think I got a few pounds on Court.
That's our friend that lives out in Salt Lake City. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming.
Shout out Court
for real. But yeah, so like you could rent a tux and like, I don't know. Like I said,
but that's more money.
I understand why it costs more, because I'm sure that the cost to put on an event and also to buy all the alcohol and just things to make the mocktails and everything that's going to be for the setup, to pay the actors that are going to be there. Like, I completely empathize and understand, but I am a little frustrated by it because I already spend so much money on everything else. And I need to fork over $150 more to attend an event I've already paid for.
Did you see what Katie Payne responded with?
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, you do.
I do?
Yeah, you do. She's a big Cosmere artist.
Oh.
Yeah. She responded to it and said, and you can join me, who are still, was it Shaladin shippers?
Oh.
next door.
That's
I was
funny.
like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good question that I'll ask you.
What?
Soon. Maybe.
Who I ship in these books?
Who do you ship in these books?
The ones that are in love. I never got the Shalon Kaladin.
That's real. That's what I'm talking about.
I never got the Shalon Kaladin thing. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, to a certain degree, I get it. I get, like, that whole interaction that they have in... That's the next book, isn't it? Words of Radiance?
Yes,
where that happens?
Book. It's raining.
It is raining. Sorry if you can hear that. I have noise suppression on the mics, but sometimes it's just...
Yeah.
You know, it's ambiance. It's like the cicadas we had the last episode. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, I never liked Shalon and Kaladin ship.
No.
Never liked it.
I didn't either.
I understood it. Jenna said that they just... all three of them need to be a polycule.
No.
And I'm just like, no, because I won't talk about that because it's a little too spoilery and everything. But, anyways,
I get where people are coming from, but it could not be me.
You know, it's a ship that I don't understand.
What?
Syl and Kaladin.
Ew.
Yeah, people do that.
It feels
don't say ew.
No, okay. Well, but to me, Syl kind of feels like a child.
Yeah.
Because of her demeanor. And like, I know she's not, but also she's like not kind of a real being. And then also she is like hundreds of thousands of years old or something because she is a Spren. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't know. It's just like the childlike demeanor.
What do you mean? This is actually a 1,000-year-old being who just so happens to look like a child. It's like somebody talking about lollies.
Yeah, that's no.
That's it. I'm
Enough.
done. That's all I'll say about it.
That's where I stand with the Kaladin Syl thing. Yeah. It just feels wrong to me.
It does. I agree.
Just because of her demeanor. Mm-hmm. And like, even though she's not a child, like I said, like she's thousands of years old and whatever, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That ain't right.
That just ain't right.
That just
Kaladin
ain't right.
and Moash, though.
I've never thought about that one. I don't think I'm going to think about it either.
Maladin?
Is that like a genuine one that people ship?
I'm sure somebody does.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to skip over that. I don't want to think about that.
Dalinar and Navani, of course.
Of course.
I'm trying to think of other characters. My brain is... There will be more characters we can talk about later.
Oh, yeah. Yasna is one of my favorites with who she's...
Ooh.
I don't think we should talk about that one yet.
We don't need to talk about that. And
but that one is one of my, like...
I know it is.
I eat it up. I eat it up.
I think I don't like it because I'm jealous.
That's kind of real, though.
That's why I don't like it.
It should be me treating her better.
It should be me, not him. No, literally, like, because Yasna is the one that I have a big crush on.
Oh, me too.
Dude, she's so cool. Actually, I might have a... Maybe I like Navani more. Maybe I like Yasna more.
Same bloodline.
Do I want the... Can I say MILF?
Yeah.
I can say
sure.
MILF. Do I want the MILF or do I just want the baddie?
The autistic baddie. Hard to decide.
It's hard to decide. That's like... I think I might just have a type, Whitney, because in Mistborn, you know who I also had a thing for?
Who?
Oh God, I can't think of her name now that I was about to say it. The words were about to come out of my mouth.
Era 1 or Era 2?
Era 2.
Marcy?
No. Her sister.
Oh, what's her name?
I
can't think of what her name is either. Now that we're like sitting here thinking about it.
No.
The one that's on the cover of Bands of Mourning.
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about, but I cannot think of her name.
Miss Ford.
Furious Googling happening over here.
Like, no, these are not. These are not.
It's not who.
Sadeas.
Yeah.
Who is also autistic.
Is your current partner, is she?
No.
No? Okay. Just curious. Just a genuine question.
I don't know.
So many people that we know are. So at this point, I'm just like...
And they're all fakers.
Oh.
They all just want attention.
No, that's not true.
No,
Ryan's
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
It's a joke. He's being facetious.
What is that? I'm not being facetious. Facetious. Yo mama.
Okay. All right. Let's move on.
What are you enjoying this week?
So I told you earlier, I finally bought a Netflix subscription. I bought Netflix with ads, so I only have to pay $6.99. I don't pay for YouTube, so I'm okay with watching a couple ads, Yeah. I'll suffer for 15 seconds. It's fine.
Yeah.
Half the time, the Netflix ads only play at the beginning, and then they'll have like a mid-roll ad, but then the mid-roll ad never plays. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I did
Does
it.
ad blockers work on your laptop with Netflix?
I've only watched it out here and on my phone, so I don't have ad blockers on either of those things. So I don't know. But yeah, so I caved and got Netflix because I wanted to watch Delicious in Dungeon. I read the manga. Mm-hmm. I'm cosplaying Marciel at DragonCon, not Dragonsteel. DragonCon, which is in a month. Yeah. Here in Atlanta, it's our version of Comic-Con down here. It's a huge convention.
It's the Southeast biggest con, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so we're doing that. Ryan's gonna dress up as maybe.
I bought a template for the armor. I've never made armor. I bought.
Are you doing EVA foam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Ryan might do Laios. I'm doing Marciel. Yeah. I got some of my cosplays in this morning. So I'm doing Marciel from Delicious in Dungeon. So I wanted to watch, since I had read the manga, I wanted to watch the anime so I could just get her vibe right. Mm-hmm. Because that's what I hate when people cosplay a character. Not that I hate it, but it's always weird when you see someone cosplay a character and then if you get photos with them or something, mm-hmm. they don't do it in character. They just kind of pose. Because that's what when Jack and I did Spike and Faye, every pose that we hit, we acted like we had a gun in our hands or something.
There's a great cosplayer who's Atlanta based here, mm-hmm. that I follow, and she goes to she goes to cons all the time.
Yeah.
And I'll send you her profile because she also does a Marciel cosplay and everything. Yeah.
There's actually, this made me just think of this. Those people that we met at the end of Dragonsteel last year.
Oh yeah.
Those cosplayers, they get together at DragonCon too. They do a Sanderson Cosmere group.
Yeah.
And it's on Facebook. So I'll see if I can connect with them and see if we can find them.
True.
Not that I'm doing a Sanderson cosplay this year, but I plan on doing a Yasna cosplay for Dragonsteel. Mm-hmm. We'll see if that works out. I think I found a dress that will work because I was going to sew my own, but I genuinely don't think I'm going to have time to do that.
Yeah. Have you found anywhere with good patterns?
I found a couple. I mean, like, I found a lot of people on Etsy, honestly, that have like really good patterns for stuff like that.
Okay.
And the girl that I talked to last year that did Shalon, I wish I could remember her name, but she did a fantastic Shalon.
Yeah.
But she told me that like the pattern that she used for her dress was just like a standard, like, I guess like more formal dress, but then her and her mom like altered it to have the safe hand covering, which was so cool. So I think if I do Yasna, I don't think I'm going to alter it, but I think I'll just buy like a glove. Just call it a day.
Well, Yasna usually wears a glove, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
But I found a company that does, like, they do mostly like Renaissance Festival style stuff, but they have some really nice, like, fancier dresses. And, like, I found a couple that I was like, I could turn this into, like, a Yasna dress. Might have to do some, like, embroidery on it, but, like, that's something I already know how to do and don't mind doing so.
What else are you cosplaying at DragonCon?
I'm doing Tifa from Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
I played Final Fantasy VII for the first time this year. Absolutely loved it. Obviously, Rebirth came out this year as well, so it's you know, in the news.
You played OG Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I played the original. Yeah. My friend owns Rebirth, and I've like watched him play it, but have not played it. It is still PS5 exclusive right now. So Tifa, and then I'm doing Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate. That was one of the ones that came today too. And then Jack and I's couple cosplay this year is Yoshizawa and Joker from Persona 5.
Okay, so I have not played Persona 5. You're gonna have to. Who's Yokisawa?
Yoshizawa, she's the one.
That's not the cat girl, right?
What?
That's not the cat girl, right?
Oh, the girl in the all red?
Yeah.
No, that's On.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Zeus.
Is she the one with the glasses?
No, that's oh my god. Futaba. Futaba's the one with glasses.
Oh my gosh. Is it the
she's the one.
Is it
I'll
the
just
nurse,
tell you.
the teacher?
No. She's the one. She's like a little bit. I think she's a grade below Joker.
Okay.
But she's the one that has the red hair and the bangs.
You're just gonna have to show me her.
You can look it up. You have your phone right there. Whoa,
Zeus, that was a crazy noise, bud.
Hey, buddy.
How do you spell it?
Just look
Yoshi.
up. Yeah, like literally spell Yoshi and then like SAWA Persona 5, and it'll be close enough that it should come up. That actually might be how it's spelled.
Yoshizawa.
Zawa, yeah. Yoshizawa.
What's his Z? Yes, her.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the glasses one that I thought.
Oh, she doesn't have glasses though.
Well, it showed her with glasses and what do you call those?
Oh.
In other pictures, she doesn't have glasses,
yeah,
though.
it was like every time I've seen her in game, I've never seen her look like that.
Are you doing like her...
I'm doing her Persona outfit, and Jack is doing Joker's Persona outfit.
Is he... he's played Persona 5.
No, he hasn't. He owns it, actually, for the PlayStation, but he's never played it. I played it fully this year as well. That was another game that I went through and I played. Yeah, but I honestly, I would have loved to do oh my god, Makoto from Persona 5. She's best girl in my opinion.
Let's see, Makoto.
Makoto, I think is how her name is spelled. She's best girl in my opinion, but I couldn't find anywhere that had her cosplay.
She looks cool.
She's best girl.
You could just kind of like do this.
But
not her persona.
Yeah, her persona one is harder because that's what I wanted to do. It was like the actual personas, but
she looks pretty rad.
She's the best. She's actually the best character in the game.
Tough. She has a gun.
Oh, they all have guns.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I wanted to do. I forced Jack into one couple's cosplay a year. He did 2 with me the last time, by choice though. But this time I had to force him into Joker because he didn't want to do it. And then every time I brought it up to somebody, they'd be like, he'd make such a good Joker. And I was like, I know. And he will make a good Joker. He'll look so cute.
Are you going to make him shave?
No. I actually would prefer if he didn't.
Do you have any more? Or is that it?
No, that's it. I'm only going to do 4 days this year. Because I think we went Monday last time and it just was not worth it.
I told you guys, Monday is kind of meh.
Yeah, and we did Misato and Shinji on Monday, so I feel like that one would have gotten a better reception.
What a beautiful ship that you did.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like if we had done that on another day, it would have garnered more attention. Because the day that we did Spike and Faye, we got stopped for pictures constantly.
Oh yeah, because I was with you guys and I was like, another picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, That's what I want to do Joker and Yoshizawa on like a good day, because I feel like that'll be a good one. And like Tifa's got to be on a good day. Marcel, I feel like will do good any day. What was the last one? Oh, Shadowheart. I want to do Shadowheart the day that they do the Baldur's Gate panel, because they're gonna do one, because Neil's gonna be there, and Lindsay, the girl that does Shadowheart. So I was like, I have to do it that day. Like,
and there's gonna be there's 4 of them there, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I know those 2 specifically. I don't remember who the other 2 are.
Okay,
but I remember being like, okay, Astarion and Shadowheart for sure.
I think the guy who voices Gale is also going to be there.
That'd be cool.
I think so.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Is there anything that you've seen for DragonCon that you're like excited about?
Danny Trejo is going to be there.
Oh yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, Machete? Are you kidding me? Machete is going to be there? Have you ever seen the movie? It's awesome.
I didn't know that Danny Trejo had like acted in so much.
Really?
I thought like someone, I don't know, maybe I saw something recently.
Dude, Danny Trejo is like...
He's been in a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He was in Breaking Bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like where I remember
And Giancarlo Esposito is going to be there.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Literally, that's Gus Fring.
Yeah.
That's
him, bro.
I don't know. I'm a big Robert Rodriguez fan, so that's why I like Machete and everything, and I like Danny Trejo. A lot of times he does just play Danny Trejo, but like that's what I appreciate him for. He's also like, not to be rude, but he's pretty old.
Yeah, isn't he?
He's like almost 80.
Yeah, no, he's definitely older. I don't think it's rude to say that he's old. Yeah. It's just a kind of a fact of life.
I don't know. What if he sees this? He's like, this man called me old. Why did he do that?
If Danny Trejo likes Brandon Sanderson enough that he is seeking out a podcast about it, hit my line. Well, Danny Trejo, let's have you on. Like, I don't know.
That would be kind of awesome.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yeah. Who's one person that you would want to talk to? End of sentence.
I was like, and like about Sanderson, or just like
about Sanderson, and then also who would you just want to talk to? I can tell you my answer. I would want to talk to Henry Cavill.
Okay. You know, in the spirit of yesterday being his birthday, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah?
I'd love to talk to Willem Dafoe. It's fucking...
It's Willem Dafoe.
It's Willem Dafoe, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. About Sanderson, I don't know.
I say Henry Cavill because I could talk to him about Sanderson and then immediately talk to him about Warhammer and see if he could tell me anything about the Amazon series that he's working on. But then, if I could just probably talk to anybody. Maybe Alex Hirsch.
Who is that?
He created Gravity Falls.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know who I talked to about the Cosmere. I really don't. The only person I ever talked to is like you. And like, that's enough for me.
That's enough.
Like, I don't know. Like, yeah. I actually was at a show the other night, and my friend Chucho, he was like, oh, you've been doing that podcast, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I've been thinking of starting the Sanderson books because of it. And I was like, and he's
who is this?
His name is Chucho, or he goes by Chucho. That's not his real name.
Yeah.
But he's friends with Nico from Big Yellow. Shout out Big Yellow. Yeah. Great band. And they do film stuff together. So they did the Bummer Hill music videos.
I feel like I met this guy.
You probably have.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak English super well. Like, I don't think he immigrated super long ago.
Okay.
So his English is not all the way there, and that's part of what he was telling me. He was like, yeah, I really want to read it, but there's a language barrier. And I was like, well, they make them in Spanish. Just read it in Spanish. He was like, no, I want to do it to like improve my English. And I was like, this may not be the series to do that with. Because I was like, there's a lot of magic words. And he was like, yeah, I've like done a ton. Apparently he had like done a ton of research on like Mistborn and like Stormlight, and like what the best thing was for him to read as like a non-native English speaker trying to read fantasy. And I was like really impressed, but he was like, I think if I heard you guys talk about it, it would help me understand it more.
Go for it.
And I was
Chucho,
like,
if you're listening, like I'm glad we're helping.
No, dude, I told him I was because I think he said he wanted to start Mistborn, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna do Mistborn after we finish Stormlight. And I was like, so if you listen when we're doing Mistborn, like I hope that helps you out, and I'm really just stoked that you want to read.
Yeah. I feel like Mistborn is like an easier read as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like especially I was just like, the only reason I was like, I don't know, like just because I was like, there's a magic system and it can definitely be a little confusing. And I was like, and if you're not a native English speaker, I could see where that would be even more confusing. And so I was just like, yeah, if the podcast helps you, you know, get through it, I'm happy that you want to sit down and read this thing that I'm interested in anyways.
Absolutely.
So I'm stoked about that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what my tangent was about besides that.
Who would you want to talk to about Sanderson? You said nobody, really?
I feel like there's got to be somebody that I know, like, or like a celebrity that reads Sanderson that I would like love to talk to. That basketball player.
The basketball player.
I don't remember who it was, but I remember seeing that picture of him in the room, like the locker room with like words of radiance, and I was like, yo! Dude,
Ben is the one who sent me that picture at first, and I said, that's crazy. Who is that? And he was just like, he's like probably one of the best players in the league right now.
Yeah, let me sit down with him. Let's chat.
And so I was like, that's awesome.
I don't know anything about sports, so I apologize for not knowing this man's name.
I don't know anything about basketball, really. So,
yeah. So apologies for not knowing this man's name, but I would love to sit down with him and just, I don't know, talk about...
Man, you're tall.
I don't know, just talk about how, like, books, the books with him, and then be like, how, I don't know, how it integrates into his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. As, like, a pro basketball player. Like, where do you find the time to read this much? Because I'm sure you're in a lot of training and you're traveling a lot. Yeah. And I mean, like, I'm sure there's like an off season and everything too. But like, how do you relate to these? I don't know. I feel like there could be some really good, interesting questions there from like a pro athlete perspective.
Very true.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's my answer.
All right.
And then just to talk to somebody, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Willem Dafoe.
Happy birthday, Willem
69.
Dafoe. Nice.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah. What have you been watching outside of Dungeon Meshi? Or if anything? Not really anything.
Part of the reason I also got a Netflix subscription. To be honest, I want to watch Bridgerton.
Okay.
I like historical fiction. It seems like something I'm gonna like. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I want to watch Bridgerton.
Watch it.
I'm gonna at some point. It's not like that high on my priority list.
I think Brittany likes it.
Cool. Maybe I'll get into it and I'll talk about it with her.
You should.
Yeah, I know so many people that like love Bridgerton, would like live and die by it, and I know there's books, but I also know it's like pretty romance heavy. I think, but I also love like Pride and Prejudice, and so I'm like, I think kind of all goes hand in hand.
I watched Pride and Prejudice for the first time. The 2005 Pride and Prejudice.
The woman, what's her name? I don't remember. The girl from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
I can't remember her name.
What's her name? Why'd you... Yeah, there's somebody screaming so loud right now. Just so upset at us. Her name is... We've
been bad with the names
today.
Knightley. Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
Oh, that movie's so good.
I watched it for the first time, and I was just like, yeah, this movie's awesome.
Yeah.
I get why it drives people crazy.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I found really funny, though, was the guy who plays Mr. Darcy?
Yeah.
When I saw him, I was just like, oh my God, that's Tom.
Tom?
Yeah.
From what?
Succession.
I've never seen that show.
Dude, Tom from Succession is
The same actor.
The same actor, and every time he would appear on screen, I'd be like, "Tom, what up, boy?"
No, that's Mr. Darcy.
No, Tom is kind of a worm.
A worm.
He's kind of a worm. So
that's so funny.
But no, he was really good in Pride and Prejudice, and I thought it was really good.
That's great.
Have you watched any movies?
Jack and I went and saw Longlegs.
That's right. I'm seeing that tomorrow.
Yeah, so I won't give any spoilers.
Yeah.
I think Jack and I had different experiences.
It seems to be a very divisive movie.
Yeah, because I mean, like, everything that I saw, I didn't watch a lot about it. I didn't read about it. I went into it mostly blind. The only thing I knew is that everyone was like, this is one of the scariest movies of the year.
Yeah.
And so I'm going in there and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to be scared.
Yeah.
It was more just like suspense.
Yeah, people were comparing it to like Silence of the Lambs.
The only comparison to Silence of the Lambs is because the main character is an FBI agent.
Oh, okay.
That's literally it. Like, I would not compare it to Silence of the Lambs anything further than that.
Do you like Silence of the Lambs?
I love that movie.
That's why we're friends.
Yeah. Like, it's a great movie. I've actually watched that movie a lot. I don't know why. Well, I used to have like a big obsession with like behavioral analyst stuff. And then so like when it was like a serial killer, I was like, ooh, I don't know. It's I've seen that movie a handful of times, so I really like that movie. But yeah, that's the only comparison. I will say I liked it. Jack loved it. Thought it was great. I'd say it's like mild gore.
Okay, that's fine.
There's like some mild jump scares.
Yeah.
But like, I guess the scariest part of it was like the suspense.
Yeah.
And there is
the
like
atmosphere.
Yeah. And like, let me tell you, it's a beautifully shot movie. The movie itself is beautiful. The sound design is fantastic. The ending made me want, I don't know.
More?
Maybe, no, not even. I just didn't feel super great about the ending. And like, I don't know.
It's only like an hour 40, right?
Yeah, it's not a long one. But yeah, it's good. Like I said, I liked it. Overall, I liked it. Did I like it as much as I feel like other people have liked it? No.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be scared, and I was not scared.
That's fair. I've been seeing a lot of memes about it.
Yeah, I just wanted, like, if I'm going to a horror movie, I want to be scared, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Except I like a lot of campy and schlocky horror.
Yeah, you love like the Scream franchise and
so I've only seen the first Scream.
Oh wait, what was the one you were rewatching last year?
Rewatching?
Saw. You watched all the Saw movies.
I watched a lot of franchises last year. So yeah. So for October I started doing Spooktober or 31 Nights, 31 Frights, where you just watch a horror movie every day, and I went absolutely bananas.
Yeah,
and I was watching
crazy.
Like multiple movies a day.
It was
crazy. They're all horror movies.
Ryan would like get off work and go home and be like, yeah, I'm watching Saw 4, 5, and 6 tonight.
Yeah, because they're all like an hour and a half,
yeah.
Which is the perfect movie length. The perfect movie length is an hour and a half to an hour 40.
I agree.
Like, that's
if
awesome.
It's any longer, I don't need it.
Dude.
I'm just kidding, but like,
if you show me a movie that's 90 minutes long, I'm going to watch it.
Oh, I'm stoked about it.
I don't care what it is. I'm going to watch it because this is like hour and a half. Yeah, I can do that. I got time to kill. But literally, like, yeah, I'll tell you, I'll pull out the list. So I watched all of the Saw movies. We watched Trick or Treat. We did.
We watched Trick or Treat together as like a Discord server. Like all of our friends got together and watched Trick or Treat. That was on Halloween too, I think.
I think it was. Yeah. And that's my favorite Halloween movie. Yeah. Because it's all about Halloween.
Yeah. I don't know what my favorite Halloween movie is.
Did you like Trick or Treat?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I was having a weird night that night.
I don't know. I watched the same movie on I don't think it was Halloween. Maybe it was. Hold on.
I think it was because I was doing some spiritual things that evening that I celebrate.
Show your activity. It was on Halloween. So every year around Halloween, I do watch another movie, though. Do you want to know what movie?
What movie?
It is 2001's 13 Ghosts.
I haven't seen that one.
It's not a good movie, but it's a very fun movie.
That's what I watch every Valentine's Day. I have to watch the movie Valentine.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
Or is it My Bloody Valentine?
No, just Valentine.
Oh, okay.
It's a slasher movie. Just called Valentine. It's got like every like.
Is the guy with the
C-list
with the miner mask?
With the angel mask, yeah.
What is this movie? Valentine movie.
It's like every C-list horror movie star is in it.
Oh, I see this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's one that I watch every Valentine's Day. It's like
David Boreanaz.
Yeah, it's a weird cast. But that's I don't know what I watch every Halloween. I used to watch, like when I was younger, I watched The Nightmare Before Christmas, but that one can be watched at either Halloween or Christmas. I don't know if I have like a Halloween movie. Jack and I did watch some horror movies around Halloween. I remember we watched like something out of the Nun series. I remember that.
Oh, okay.
We were gonna watch The House That Jack Built.
Yeah.
And he was like, you don't want to watch it. It's really nasty. It's not gonna make you feel good. And now that I saw like long legs and stuff, I'm like, I think you're capping. Like, there's no way it's that bad.
I've heard some rough things where it just like is mainly just like a bummer.
Yeah, Jack said it's like kind of traumatizing, and I was like, I don't know. Like now I want to watch it to find out.
Have you ever been traumatized by a movie? I've watched a movie that like makes me feel bad.
I don't know.
And I'm just like, it kind of puts me in a weird headspace, but like I wouldn't say traumatized.
I don't know. Jack and I tried to watch the there was that new Pinocchio movie. What's that guy that did it? Super famous. I can't even think of his name.
Oh.
Look up Pinocchio. It was like, I think it was a Netflix original. I don't know. You'll know the name. Just look up like recent Pinocchio movie.
Pinocchio. Oh, you're talking about the
director.
You're talking about Guillermo del Toro.
Yes. We started to watch that one.
Yeah. Was it weird?
No. It was a little off-putting, but like kind of be expected with the art style.
Yeah.
No, we started watching it, and I think like it was like maybe a couple months after my dad had passed away.
Oh.
And then like in like one of the opening scenes, like a dad like dies.
Oh.
And it's like a big plot point, and I was just like violently sobbing, and Jack was like, I think we should turn this off.
Yeah.
So I can't watch that movie now. Like, I'm sure if I was going into it in a better headspace, but like even that day I remember us hanging out, we're like, oh, we're just gonna watch a movie, have a good fun time, and then it was suddenly I was bawling my eyes out, and Jack's like, let's watch something nice and happy. And it was not Pinocchio.
Absolutely.
So that's the one time I've been like traumatized by a movie, but it wasn't the movie's fault.
Yeah.
It was outside circumstances.
Right. Some movies just get to you like that.
Yeah.
Like there are definitely like my favorite movie, which I'll ask you your favorite movie after this. My favorite movie is The Grand Budapest Hotel.
I've not seen that, but I really want to.
That's my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
And that has to do a lot with very I guess maybe like personal reasons for that. Like there was a time where I would literally just like, they used to be like one of my like big comfort movies.
Yeah.
Where if I just like had a bad day, turn it on.
Yeah. I used to be like that with Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. And it's just like, man, it's a beautiful movie. I love it. It's all pastels.
Yeah, I want to watch that movie. I remember like during the Tumblr days, like you would see like people would make like GIFs and like, you know, would take screen caps from that movie.
Yeah.
So I want to see it.
It's got Saoirse Ronan in it.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, you do.
I'm not good with names and face. I need to see a face before I know someone's name. What is my favorite movie?
The Brave Little Toaster.
I was literally about to say that as a joke, and then I was like, no. Oh, my favorite movie is The Village.
The M. Night Shyamalan movie? I need to watch that.
One of my favorite movies.
Yeah. I
remember the first time I watched that movie, and it just, like, it rocked my world.
That's awesome. I need to watch it. I know a lot of people really like it.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of that movie. Jack was convinced I was going to like The Witch. The Vitch.
Yeah, the Vavitch.
The Vavitch. I thought it was fine. I thought it was okay.
Shut up.
I liked it.
I'm glad you liked it.
But I
think that movie's awesome.
I think I need to rewatch it. Like, I think I maybe was not... I don't think I was in a headspace to like a movie that day. I think, like,
okay.
You know, like sometimes where you just, like, no matter what someone puts on,
you don't like it. That's fine.
No. I genuinely think I remember, like, being in a bad mood that day. And so Jack was like, let's watch a movie. And he's like, you're going to love this.
Oh my God,
so,
you're in a bad mood and you decided to watch The Witch.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
But it's like, it's everything that I like, you know. It's like historical fiction. It's like a culty, you know. It's like everything that's right up my alley. So it wasn't like a bad suggestion. But I think I just was in a bad mood. And regardless of what he put on that day, I wasn't going to like it.
Yeah.
So...
I watched that for Spooktober.
I watched one of the ones that I watched was I can't think of what it's called, and I know you haven't seen it because I asked you about it one time and you were like, no, I haven't seen that. For anyone that's listening that will know, it's like a 90s movie and it's about 3 girls that are witches, and there's a line and the girl goes, jealous, you don't even exist to me. And that's all I can remember about that movie. I cannot remember what that movie is called right now. I literally can't remember what it's called.
Jealous. You don't even exist to me.
Because I dressed up as that girl for Halloween. I can't think of
The Craft.
The Craft, yes.
The Craft. Yeah, I've never seen The Craft.
Oh, it's a great.
You asked me about it. I do remember this. The Craft.
It's a great movie for girls.
I'm going to look. 1996. Andrew Fleming's. Oh.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. I really liked it.
Ooh, I know some people who have seen this.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Watch list.
Like I said, kind of cult classic-y type.
I watched a movie.
What movie?
So I watched a few movies this past week.
Really?
Yeah.
What you been watching?
All right, so I'm going to tell you. From my least favorite to favorites.
Are you looking at your letterbox?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, I have a letterbox. Yes, you should follow me. It's at Y Bread.
Y Bread.
Y Bread. So I watched Serial Mom, which is on Netflix.
Okay.
And I think you should watch it. I give that a 7. It's typical stay-at-home housewife who also just so happens to kill people.
Good for her.
Mm-hmm. So, it's directed by John Waters.
Okay.
I'm
familiar with that name, I think.
He's made some pretty influential midnight movies.
What does that mean?
Specifically, Pink Flamingo.
I don't know what that means. Or what that is.
Pink Flamingo?
No, not a clue.
You probably recognize it. No? Okay, so...
I'm not a big movie person.
Okay. So, he's a director.
Okay.
He's made some pretty banger movies. He made the original Hairspray.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Before it was a musical.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Not the John Travolta version. Got it.
Yeah. And then I was just like, I watched that movie, and in the same night, I Googled John Waters movies.
Nice.
And I found this movie called Cry Baby.
Okay. That sounds familiar.
It's starring Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
In 1990.
Yeah, no, I know that movie.
It's a musical?
Yeah.
You've seen this movie?
I've seen that, yeah. I was a theater kid.
Whitney, this movie rules.
Yeah, the movie's very good.
It's like a satire, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's basically making fun of Greece, but it's awesome. I gave it like a 9.
That's good.
And then the next day, I was like, I want something just kind of different.
Yeah.
So I finally watched The Love Witch.
Oh, yeah, you texted me asking if I'd seen it. I've heard someone talk about this before. I've heard it's funny.
It's funny, for sure.
Because it's like campy.
It is campy. The whole thing with it is, you're familiar with Technicolor?
Yeah.
Technicolor does not exist anymore.
Right.
Because all the machines that make Technicolor are destroyed.
Yeah. Like, literally, we can't even recreate it anymore.
No, we cannot.
Yeah.
I think there's like one in China or something.
Yeah. But it's like defunct, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie...
Shot in Technicolor?
It looks like it's shot in Technicolor. It looks like it is.
Cool.
It's super... It literally feels like a movie from like the late 60s, early 70s. Mm-hmm. And it's awesome. And it has to do with a love witch.
Yeah, I know I've heard someone talk about it. I could not tell you where I have.
You should watch this movie.
It. Okay, where'd you watch it on?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
And it's beautiful. Literally every scene, I was just like,
you're like, this is awesome,
dude. It's crazy. It'll be very funny because I'm pretty sure set in the modern day.
Oh, okay.
Because there will literally be like a scene where people are like in 70s clothes and everything, but then they're driving like a modern car, and it's like very funny. It's like, all right,
that's hysterical,
but it's very cool, and everything looks so awesome, and it is funny, and man, it's probably the best movie I've watched in a long time.
Would you give it on Letterboxd?
I give it a 9.
Nice. Did you watch anything else this week? Or is that it?
Did I watch anything else this week?
I don't know.
I finished The Boys.
Finished The Boys.
I have nothing to say about The Boys. I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much going on for me right now, to be honest.
I read the new Chainsaw Man chapter today.
Nice. I'm so behind.
Hey, Whitney.
Yeah.
We're starting to peak again.
Oh, Lord.
Read the new One Piece chapter Sunday. Hey, Whitney.
Yep.
We're still peaking. It's awesome.
There's a lot of things I need to catch up on. I've been a busy girl. I've been literally the last 2 days has been nothing but me staring at my computer screen coding.
Yeah.
It's been like...
Well, the good thing is, like, you only have to read part 5 out of this.
Yeah.
And you could literally do that tonight if you wanted.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. So the way that I read this today... because I read like maybe 60, 70 pages last night before I went to bed. And then the rest of it I did today. And I literally I read at about 2.5 speed on an audiobook.
Uh-huh.
And so I would put the audiobook on 2.5 and I was listening and reading at the same time. And
I walked in and you were doing this.
Yeah. I had like 10 minutes left. I had 10 minutes left. So with the way I had it at 2.5 speed on Audible, I would finish this book in about an hour tonight. If I really wanted to sit down and do that. But I have to edit this podcast tonight. Yeah. Because it's supposed to come out tomorrow. So.
Yeah. Well.
Better get to it.
Yeah. Let's end it. Once again, thank you for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe. Do the YouTube pleasantries. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, we have a couple 5-star reviews right now.
Do we really?
Yeah, at least on Spotify.
Wow. Okay.
So thank you.
I haven't looked at the Spotify.
Yeah. We have 2 on Spotify.
Wow. Thank you.
So thanks, guys. It actually wasn't me either.
Yeah. It wasn't me.
Because I honestly, I'm so honest. I tried to leave a review one time. I was like, maybe if I like give it, 5-star, it'll like kind of bump it up in the algorithm, whatever. And then it was like, you need to actually listen to the episodes and wait till there's more out. And I was like, all right. So someone actually did genuinely leave us 2 5-star
So that is
reviews.
a thing that I have heard about podcasts.
Is what?
Specifically on Apple Podcasts.
Uh-huh.
I know we were literally about to call it. If you give a review that is not 5 stars and a show has less than 5 stars, it is like impossible to find that show.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Now I don't know if that's changed or anything.
I would hope so.
I've heard this like a while ago. So that's like why a lot of people say like leave a 5-star review or don't review it at all.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Because like that means like nobody will be able to find your show. But like, I have heard that. I actually heard that at a panel at a convention.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that has changed because like there's so many shows that I listen to like that I feel like I see them have like 4.7 stars or something. Because like, I mean, people are allowed to not like things.
Yeah.
And like, you can leave a 4-star review and say, I really like these hosts, but maybe I don't like the way they do
shows
this.
Who like have a lot of like higher reviews and everything. But I think for like smaller shows, that's who it affects.
That sucks.
Yeah.
So leave us a 5-star review or don't leave us a review at all.
Leave us a 5-star review, but then also tell us like what we can do better or that you hate us, please.
Or just like send us an email if you hate us. That's okay.
If you
don't leave us a 0 stars on Apple Podcast.
If you send us an email, I will personally give you a high five.
Yeah.
I'll dap you up.
The only emails we get are from our podcast hosting, so I'd be really stoked if someone sent us an email.
Honestly, yeah. All right, and we get like the comments on YouTube.
Yeah, we read all the comments, and like it's so awesome that people care enough to do that. So thanks if you do that.
Yeah, we really appreciate the interaction because it just lets us know like, oh man, people are listening, and I guess we're saying something cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Listenercast for life.
For real. We'll see you guys next week. We're going to talk about part 5 and a little bit of everything from the entire book. We've made it to the end. So, crazy.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Zeus.